Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond Life Paranormal Podcast. I'm your host, Russell Reynolds, and we are streaming live through Facebook at Beyond Life Paranormal Research Missouri, Cold Spotters, Missouri, and on YouTube at Beyond Life Paranormal Research, the Missouri edition. And we got a good show tonight. We got a great guest that's coming on, but before we get to him, I promised a buddy of mine I'd plug his event for him tonight. Um, my good friend Byron Cherry, aka Coy Duke from the Dukes of Hazzard TV show, asked me if I would host his event in Somerset, Kentucky, coming up June 28th of 2025. The guy is going to be jumping the General Lee over 80 feet, and he's going to be probably about 200 to 300 feet up in the air. And Byron Cherry and the rest of the cast of the Dukes of Hazzard will be there. He is also going to give away these pictures, autographed. So be sure to go out and check that event out. And he's a longtime friend of the show and a good supporter. So I told him I'd plug his event for him. So be sure to check it out. And let me introduce my guest tonight. He is a good friend of my family's, of Ed and Lorraine Warren's. He's been like family to them since 1992. He's also a paranormal researcher. Probably seen his pictures with Annabelle and then the picture I posted with him and Lorraine. And he's here to talk to us tonight. And we got some various topics we're going to discuss. So without further ado, I'm not going to keep him backstage. We'll bring him on, Rick Clark.
Hey, how's it going? Hi.
Good. How are you?
Welcome.
Welcome to the show.
Good. Dukes of Hazzard, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Brings back good memories, dude. Oh my God. Love that show.
Yeah, he did. He was Coy Duke from season 5 of the TV show.
Yeah, that one season where they cousins came in. I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a fan. Yeah.
I had him on my podcast last week.
Nice. Nice.
And he loves the paranormal as well. He talked about his first paranormal ghost hunt that he did with my buddy at Outlaw Paranormal.
Wow. You say ghost and everyone's like, what? What? They want to hear your stories and
Yep,
so many stories out there. There's
yep.
millions of them. It's amazing, actually. It's fun.
Tell my audience a little bit about yourself and what got
I
you started.
I met Ed and Lorraine back in 1992. My friend Jimmy Petonito, who's Mr. Haunted. A lot of people know him.
Oh
Best
yeah,
friend. And he's the one that drugged me with him to meet them. And I really was not interested. I didn't know who they were. I really wasn't a big believer in ghosts. I just went with him. 10 minutes with Ed and Lorraine. We were just connected. We were just together. It was incredible. It was an incredible friendship. And from that day, we've investigated so many houses with them that it was amazing. Absolutely amazing experience. And they're incredible people, and I love them. They're my family. We were so close. And Tony and Judy, Tony's the son-in-law, Judy's their daughter, and just incredible people, the whole bunch of them. And yeah, that's it. It's people have questions about them, and I'd love to hear them because there's so much I read about Ed and Lorraine that, but there's so much more that people don't know. Like
exactly.
paranormal was not 100% of their life. They were people just like you and I. They were middle class, just loving people with a nice little house, and there were barbecues, parties, there were picnics. Thanksgivings, Christmases together. They were just really, really just loving people who researched the paranormal.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I mean everybody they down them for being who they are, that they're frauds and they're fakes when they're far from it.
You know, I read stuff like that. It's funny you're saying that because I just was reading some stuff and I'm thinking, and these people are just so adamant they're frauds, this. I don't recognize any of those people, and I've known them for years. And I don't know who they're talking about. I mean, that's the funny part. That's the almost sad part because they're not here to defend themselves. But some of these comments, these people are just so adamant. They're like, it's this. It's just like they're standing there with them.
Yep.
Like I said, I don't think Tony knows any of them. And he gets his share of hate also.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's one incredible friend and guy, I'll be honest with you. And really, before you judge somebody, know what you're judging. Step back and take a look, because the hate in the paranormal field is just bizarre to me. It's just
Oh
strange.
yeah, it's bad. It's like it's one big competition nowadays
I
within
don't
this
get it.
paranormal field. Everybody's in competition with everybody who can outdo this one investigating, or this is my location. I don't want you there. Or
I don't get it. You know, it's funny. I talked to Wade is another person who I
yeah,
really am
Wade.
close to. Yeah, and he's part of the team, and we were discussing with Tony about very similar about all this anger, and it comes to me that we're investigating demonic. And what's the best way to break things up demonically is to split everybody apart. And I think sometimes some of these feuds, I guess you can call them, I really believe that the backing of them is demonic, that it's just a terrifying thing if you think about it, but they're trying to weaken the field
Yep.
because we're investigating them, and we fall for it. We easily fall for it, and we should get along. We should unite together, because that's a strong team is uniting. So it's what we should do. It's a lesson learned, I guess. In a way.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just nonstop with the hate and the bullying that's going on in this
Yeah,
field.
you just in Tony, you have to get tough skin, and you gotta walk from it. You can't dwell on it, because if you dwell on it, it feeds into it.
Yep.
And I really do believe, I honestly do, that it's there's an evil behind it. There is a
Mm,
demonic evil behind it that's causing some of these rifts. And if you feed into it, if you're the one angry or if you're the one that's on the receiving end, you both got to stop, because
right.
it's not worth it, and it's not what we're here for. And
Exactly. We've had our share of it, and I've separated
we all
from
did.
it.
We all did. I mean, you don't got to dwell on it. You don't got to even rehash it, because it's not
Yep.
worth it. You hope you mend fences eventually, and things, work out. That's all you really can do, and stay positive. It's how it is. Yeah. Yeah, I'm from Connecticut. Who just asked that question? I am. I
That's
worked at Ed and Lorraine since 1992, and it was Dawn that asked that question. Okay, hi Dawn. And yeah, I'm from East Haven, Branford, Connecticut, about 20-25 minutes from Monroe, where Ed and Lorraine lived. And yeah, so I am from Connecticut.
Dawn is also related to Ed and Lorraine as well. She's my cousin.
Oh, Dawn, nice to meet you. In a way, through the screen. Hi.
Yep.
you,
She,
you
she's
know,
related to him too through the Zaffis side and Ed's side of the family. That's how we're all related.
Yeah, Johnny Zaffis. He's a very good friend. I love that guy.
Oh yeah.
Love him to death. I really do. It's we go to lunch every once in a while and just hang out, and he just is the funniest human being.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I said, you don't see it when you look one dimensional through a computer screen at people and their research. You don't realize they are funny, they're outgoing, they're friendly, they're loving. There's such a big dimension behind the screen of these people.
Mhm.
And I'll be honest, if they weren't good people, I wouldn't be near them. And
Right.
yeah, but as you know.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I've learned a lot from Ed and Lorraine too, going into this field by reading a lot of stuff. I've watched a lot of Ed and Lorraine's videos and learned
Ooh,
from.
sorry, Don. I have a sister in Fairfield, right next to Westport. I'm down there a lot. Love that area. Yeah.
So yeah, I've learned a lot from them as well. Even though I didn't know till a few years ago that I was related to them.
Which blows my mind, because you said, I think you told me one time when we first started speaking, 13 maybe, you started becoming interested in the paranormal. What
Yep.
a weird, strange, turn of events, huh?
But I had my first experience at 6 years old
Really?
in a house that we lived in.
Was it haunted?
Oh yeah, I saw an apparition of a Civil War soldier standing in my bedroom door.
And Missouri, was this?
This was in New York State. I originally grew up on the East Coast,
Oh, okay. All right.
and oh, strange things were crazy in that house at night. Toilets would flush, water would turn on, lights would turn on its own,
Oh,
things would be moved,
poltergeist. Yeah.
and the heat would get turned down at night. My dad wake up freezing, thinking us kids play with the heat, but we were too small to even reach the thermostat. He'd come down and it'd be turned down to like 20 degrees.
You know, it's funny. The kids always get the blame, right?
And then the dog would sit there and growl and dig at a wall.
Really?
Yeah, every day. And
You know why?
my dad was gonna open the wall up, but they were renting the house with option to buy, so he didn't touch it, and the attic had been sealed up.
Really? That's interesting. You know,
And
I asked Ed, and maybe it's the reason why the dog's scratching at the wall. I used to ask Ed everything. I used to drill that man's brain. But I asked him, why do ghosts sometimes walk through walls? And like, what's the point? I don't get it. And he told me a lot of times the houses, when they were older, there were doorways there. The ghosts still see how the house looked when they maybe lived there when they were alive, and they're still acting as though the doors are still there, even though the walls have changed and the house has changed. So I don't know, maybe.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
your typical residual haunting,
Yeah, yeah. So I
where it
mean,
just
it's
replays it over and over again at the same time, same night.
yeah, a little echo haunting, yeah, going on there. Which there are a few things in the museum, Ed and Lorraine's museum, which have echo hauntings to them, and every once in a while, it's the same exact thing will occur. It's the same thing every
Mhm.
single time, like you're not even there. They don't even recognize you there.
Right.
They, the museum's incredible, by the way. If you go to my, I have Instagram, Rick on Earth with little dots in between the Rick and on. I have a lot of pictures of the museum and video also of the museum, Ed Lorraine's museum.
I've got artifacts in the Warren's Occult Museum now too.
You do.
Yeah, I've got some haunted dolls that are in there. I gave
Nice.
owner
Nice.
last September.
Yeah, I probably saw them. There's a lot of stuff in that museum. It really is. A lot of its stuff is packed away. There's so much stuff.
Yeah, they're still in totes. They're trying to get Dan to make a case for it so they can
Yeah.
take it out with the rest of the.
Right. Room is a factor. Unfortunately, for a lot of things we don't have it put out because there is so much stuff, and Ed never, I don't think, intended it to be a museum. It was more of a relic room where he kept things
Right.
and secure. And it just slowly word got out that these things were in there. People would want to see it. And then unfortunately, well, it was fortunate that The Conjuring came out,
Yep.
and we never thought it would be that big. Never ever dreamt it'd be that big. And at the end of this little cul-de-sac were hundreds of people a week trying to see this house and this museum, and eventually had to just basically shut it down. And just so people, the neighbors were,
Mhm.
going crazy with all these people on their lawns and jumping their fences, and it was insane. It was insane. But they try to bring this stuff out, and they get criticized for moving Annabelle. And
Oh, yeah.
I get creeped out. I'm not gonna lie to you. I really do. I'm not the biggest fan of moving her, but I've helped before. But when I say the utmost care is taken when they move that thing, it's and I don't even like calling it a doll. I call it a thing a lot of times. Um, it's never touched, ever, ever, ever touched, ever. And if it does fall forward, it's locked. We unlock it, but there are gloves. They're soaked in holy water, and it's just put her back up again and shut the door. And a lot of prayers saying over this box also. But I won't open it. I won't even fix it with the gloves on. I won't do it. I
I
mean,
I don't blame you.
I won't do it. I
I
wouldn't
know
do
I know poor Dan gets shaken up. I told Dan, I said, "You gotta have balls of steel because handling moving her from case to case, that's."
Well, we keep her in that one case now. We don't transfer her to the other case anymore. And Dan actually created the case that she's in. And
Mhm.
the care he put into that case is incredible. The wood was soaked in holy water. There are crosses, there's relics all on the inside of there, also crosses and everything around the Annabelle on the inside. And of course, there's the three crosses on the outside of the box. And it's definitely made with care. He really put a lot of work into that. Thank God.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. There was a guy that was commenting on, a post on Annabelle, and he says, "Why hasn't somebody burnt that?" And I explained to him, I said, if they burn it, they're just burning the vessel. They're not burning that demonic entity that's attached to that
Right. That
object.
that is the whole point of it. Was so evil that Ed, the case was eventually made. It wasn't made right away until unfortunate accident happened with a priest and the chief of police in Monroe and touching it. And they realized they need to lock this where nobody could touch it. It was secured, but a priest, and I don't know if you know the story, but Ed's told me this story, and I met the priest years ago,
Mhm.
picked the doll up, and it was not in the case. And he said something like, God's stronger than the devil. And Ed told me this story himself, and he says, Rick, I was furious. First of all, he picked the doll up. I told him not to, but he picked it up and says, God's stronger than the devil. And Ed said to me, yeah, God is stronger than the devil, but no priest is. And that priest was driving home in a brand new car after he left there. And he said the last thing he saw in his mirror was Annabelle looking back at him in the back seat. And he hit a truck. And he is crippled to this day. He is crippled.
Yep.
And that's the last thing he saw was that doll looking back at him. And that case was made right afterwards because of that. Yeah.
I was talking to Dan. I was watching one of Ed's old videos, and the camera zoomed in on Annabelle's eyes,
Yeah.
and I looked right at Annabelle. And that night when I went to bed, I seen Annabelle.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, and this was my job. I am really scientific minded. I try to figure things out, and that could be just psychosis, from being
Mhm.
so afraid of her. But she can project herself, maybe. I don't know. I
Dan
don't.
said Dan was telling me she can telepathically. You can connect to her telepathically.
Some people claim they could. I had an incident with her, and but it was just more of being careless in my part, and you learn a lesson,
Yep.
and it's like getting burned on a stove. You don't touch it again. I didn't touch her, but I was careless, and it's funny. And I used to grill. Ed didn't call her Annabelle a lot. He called her the devil doll. That's what he referred to her as, not very much as Annabelle. When you talk to Ed, it was more the devil doll, and that was no game to him. And even the movies, I'm not too sure how, even moving her, that's kind of why I'm a little bit afraid of moving her. He always said, don't give that doll recognition
Yep.
because it feeds off of it. And these movies and the whole bit scares me a little bit. But I will say they do with priest and everything have that thing blessed constantly.
Yeah, I
It's
know
constant.
Father Bob Bailey's always there.
It's constant. It really is. So yeah, I take comfort in that. But psychologically, it scares the shit out of me, though. Sorry. Yeah, but I'll be honest. Yeah, it scares. It does. It does, and I don't get scared very easy. But
I know another object they got in there, that fire doll. She gives me an eerie feeling. I got to see her person at the Warrens Paracon, and then when they did the Devil on the Run tour out here in Missouri, they had him
right,
set up in the prison.
there's a lot of things in there that that screw people's heads. It scares them first of all because it's supposed to be scary, but it does. There's another one in the Shadow Doll. I don't know if you ever
Yeah,
saw
that
her.
shadow doll. Yep.
That's the one that scares me. That Annabelle. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. She scares the hell out of me, and it's not because of the stories, it's just you feel it. In that museum, the air is heavy, you
Mhm.
feel it in there. And there's been influencers in there, people, reporters that feel the same thing. It's a heavy, heavy feeling in that place. And the shadow doll, yeah, that's another one. Research that, guys, because it's fascinating that
Oh
way.
yeah,
Yeah.
we
The
did a
story.
we did a session with the shadow doll when it was out here at Missouri State,
Yeah.
and it was sending off the spirit box.
Yeah, the whole idea behind it is it's crazy. The whole idea behind it, taking a picture and cursing a person is like
Yeah.
it's voodoo. I mean, they believe it comes from. They're not too sure, but they believe it comes from like New Orleans, that area 100 years ago. And there's something behind that's just creepy as hell. Yeah, it's
Uh,
funny.
Another one is that satanic idol.
Yeah, it's Sandy Hook idol. Yeah, it was found in the woods before. And Sandy Hook, unfortunately, is famous for the mass shooting of the
Yeah.
grammar school kids. But it had nothing to do with that. It was found before that. It was
Yep.
found 10 years before that in the woods of Sandy Hook, which is a lot of wooded area. And it was used as a ritual to worship the devil, and it's definitely intimidating. And it was put in a museum, and there was a story behind it. When it was there, the high priestess was furious. They took it, and he put a curse on Lorraine, and it worked. And it took for a long time for her to get that curse off of her, but he was furious that thing was taken from him. But he wasn't getting it back. Ed was not giving that thing back to him. So,
Yeah, and especially with Lorraine's abilities and stuff like that, and her clairvoyant abilities, that probably wreaked havoc on her for a while.
it did. It did. It affected her really bad. Actually, it did. It was not. It wasn't nice. It was pretty bad. But she overcame it, and with the help of a priest and everything, they overcame it. And but it did, unfortunately. And she was an amazing woman. I mean, she was. There's a few women that were strong in my life, and she was definitely one
Oh
of
yeah,
them.
she was
That
definitely a
was
strong woman.
she was just a wonderful. I mean, just supportive and just a loving person. And she was amazing. I always tell people when you watch The Conjuring, especially the first one, when you watch Vera play her, Vera stayed with her for a while and studied her because Lorraine was still alive. She hit Lorraine on the head. When you watch Vera, I got chills watching her the first time when
Oh
the movie.
yeah,
The way she stands, speaks, dresses, it's Lorraine Warren. Ed was a little different than Patrick's, but Ed was gone
yeah.
already.
His head was already gone. Yeah.
Yeah. Ed was funnier than hell. People don't realize that. He had an incredible sense of humor and loved his wife, but he was funny, but very serious about the paranormal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I hear a lot of stories about Ed and Lorraine. My mentor, Sister Farrah Rose Deal,
Yes.
she used to go up to Ed and Lorraine's all the time too for those cookouts and the dinners that they would do. And her late husband Kenneth used to go there all the time.
You're right.
And he's told me stories.
I have a lot of pictures on I can, and on Facebook also. Facebook, I have a lot. Of Lorraine's kitchen, of the kitchen, hanging out in the kitchen, the living room, the whole bit. Like I said, it was a home. It wasn't this haunted house. If you stood there, you would never know what they did for a living. And it's funny. I got so much advice from Ed. And you said about a haunted house, and I said to Ed one time, what do we say to people who say there's no such thing as ghosts? I'm like, what do you say? How do you argue this?
Mm.
He said, Rick, he goes, when someone says I don't believe in ghosts, I tell them I'm glad you don't, because that tells me you did not grow up in a haunted house and go through the hell of the haunting. So that's fine if you don't believe, because it shows that you weren't, afflicted by you're haunted. And I was like, wow, I didn't expect that answer. That was it. Always threw me curveballs constantly.
Right.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of John Zaffis's posts when he posts about Ed and them, and he posts some of the stuff like Ed was talking about snakes in the grass and stuff like that.
I'm not too sure where that one's going.
That
I mean,
that
I'm
was
just
about
thinking Edwise, and I'm actually laughing. Isn't that funny? Because,
it
yeah.
was
You-
mainly about people stabbing people in the back and
oh, that. I'm sorry. They meant an actual snake. Oh, yeah. But, Ed, I think we had the same kind of thinking was, you know what? They're not worth it. Put
yep,
them in the back burner. Don't waste your positive energy off their negativity. You know, they feed off negative people, feed off of positivity. If you push them away, they'll starve because there's nothing to feed off of.
yep,
And just stay positive, and you hope the best for them. I mean, I don't like people being angry at each other. I think everybody can come to terms eventually, I hope.
right.
If not, you just stay away. Not everyone gets along, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the way it's going in this field too with it that's how it's getting to be divided.
To a degree. I mean, I think eventually it mends, but or they fade away, one or the other. But it's what are we in this field for? Like, why do you do this? I mean, I'm being serious. Why do you do this?
I
Why do you
do
invest?
I do it to help people. That's
All right.
my goal is
Yeah.
to help people. We do a lot of residential stuff.
Right. Right. And it's that's one of the main reasons. And I think my reason was it took a while for me to see something. And then when I was with them, because I would take a lot of pictures or interviews, and they really taught us, but I wasn't seeing anything for a while. And the minute I did, I'm like, what the hell was that? And that's what got my mind, what was that? I have to understand it. And that's how I think. I gotta understand. And you see a person that's in a haunted house, you see the fear in their eyes. That fear cannot be faked.
Nope.
It is real. And it's I always said to myself, a person that makes us sign pieces of paper that they don't want publicity, they don't want this to get out, that's real.
Yep.
They don't want money for this. They don't want nothing. And by the way, I did read this recently that we used to make a lot of money off of people in hauntings. Ed told us one day, if you take one penny from someone, I will break your fingers. That was his, and I am dead ass serious.
I
Yeah.
I could see
And
Ed saying
those
that.
people that say, oh, they made money off it, they made money off of lectures and off of books. That was it. And they did not make a lot of money. Like Lorraine didn't make like millions of dollars from The Conjuring at all. Actually, she could have probably made millions of dollars, but she didn't. She didn't. She got, and so I, wish they'd give them just a little break. And before you criticize someone that's long gone, step back, realize these are human beings and there's more dimensions to them, and take a look at what's going on, because they had no choice. Yeah.
Like that fake article that come out that Ed's a pedophile and all kinds of
That was horrible, right? That was, unfortunately, a lawsuit had to come to that before they retracted it. I mean, what was that?
yeah.
I mean, that was insane. It's like almost me saying, I don't know you, I really don't know you, but I'm gonna say you rob banks every weekend, and you're like, no, I don't. Yeah, you do. And you're like, no, I don't. I'm like, no, you do. That's exactly what that. It's that. It's like, what are you talking about?
Exactly. And
Yeah, yeah,
a lot of people do need to step back and realize they are the pioneers. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing in this field today.
and they worked hard. And people say, oh, they exaggerate, and you know, and I'm really honest. And we did an investigation, and we were at a college circuit, and there's probably a couple thousand people in this auditorium. And Ed told the story, and I'm like, Ed, didn't happen like that. And you're like, what? You're just like, he's like, Rick, these people are here to hear a scary story. I'm telling them the truth. But yeah, I'm embellishing it a little bit because it's supposed to be scary for this audience. They don't want to come here and say, we sat in the house for 5 hours every single night, didn't see anything. We sat in the house. No, they want to hear the meat of the story, so he condenses it. But he was a storyteller. He knew how to tell the story, but it was the truth. But he just knew how to tell it.
Yep.
And yeah, that's a good writer. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, even watching some of his old videos where Tony
Yeah,
was moderating the
yeah,
Secrets of the Supernatural and him telling the stories of Amityville and
right.
the Smurl case and several of the other cases they've done.
Right, and then, it's you can debate this forever about Amityville and things like that. It was fake, it was whatever. If you really research why the author Jay backed down and said, "Oh yeah, it was a hoax," it was because his life was being threatened. He was harassed constantly. He just wanted to put this behind him.
Mhm.
But until like Ed passed away, he swore to God that was insane, that house. And I'll be honest, I think I've known him so well that if it was fake, we'll just say it was a hoax, he would say, hey, Rick, you know what? Yeah, it was kind of fake, But I know he would tell me that. But
Right.
that case, dude, affected both him and Lorraine deeply, deeply.
Well, even that picture that they caught of that ghost boy peeking around the door
Right.
frame, everybody says that's fake.
No, that was real. And actually, I believe Channel 5 New York News was with them when that was taken, actually. They didn't see him in that picture. They took a picture, and I think there was probably about 800 pictures taken that night, that one picture.
And I defend that too because back
Yeah.
then there was no such thing as Photoshop.
No, 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 no. That was a real picture. And I mean, you can say, anything. I mean, it's the old debate about, I'll go back to religion, God's real, God's fake, whatever. You don't know unless you're there, with anything.
Exactly.
And, okay, if you don't believe it, that's fine. I'm not going to debate it. I mean, it's all right. You don't have to believe it, but it's, the people that know it, it's for them.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have to experience it before you judge it.
You have to experience it. And I think when you experience a true haunting, it changes your entire vision of what life is, what death is, what everything around you is, and you appreciate it more. And it's the mystery of it is intriguing to me. The
Oh
whole
yeah.
mystery of it, yeah, is intriguing, and it doesn't have to be scary either, at all, at all.
No, I even just like the history part of it. Learning
Right?
about the history of a location and
Yeah, that's I love. I love the history of it too. It fascinates me, the history part, and I'm a history buff, so that fascinates me.
my lead investigator on my team, she's a licensed historian.
Right. Oh, my God. I probably talk with her for hours. That's intriguing. I love history. It's like I said, it intrigues me. I love it. It's great.
She
Yeah.
works for the Bothwell Lodge here in Sedalia, Missouri, and she's doing all the history and the genealogy for
Yeah.
the lodge.
Wow. Nice. That's sweet. That's sweet. The it's funny. And another thing too about hauntings, people think it has to have a history. The house has to be old to be haunted. You have a brand new house that's haunted. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
Everyone's like, "Oh, it's an old house. I bet it's haunted." Doesn't work that way. I mean, yeah, chances are maybe something happened there, but you can bring an object in from a tag sale into your house and screw your entire life up. I mean, it could be an object, it could be anything. It could be a ghost that's attracted to you, might follow you back to your house. So many different cases we've had like that.
Richie says
Oh,
even some ministers say there is things they can't explain.
right. I mean, it's true. And it's 100% true. How can you explain a lot of things like psychic abilities and things like that on top of it? And
Yep.
yeah, it's kind of funny. I told Judy this story, Lorraine's daughter, and we laugh about it. Is years ago. I'm not a big, and this is my own personal belief. I'm not a big believer in God as as a Bible
Mm,
page by page thing. There's 100% there's something. But my mom was freaking out. I was helping these ghost people, so she got me a cross that was blessed. I don't wear jewelry. I wear a watch, but it's I had the cross on, had a sweatshirt on, a jacket on. It was snowing out. And I'm meeting Ed and Lorraine in a parking lot. And I'm walking up to her and she's grinning at me. And she's like, "Honey, what did you do?" She used to call me honey, as she called a lot of people.
yep.
And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Your spiritual aura is just glowing around your chest." And I'm like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "Lorraine," I pulled the cross out. I'm like, "You can see this through my clothes?" And she's like, she grinned at me. Then I'm like, "All right, Lorraine, what else can you see?" I start covering myself up. And she fell out laughing, and Ed was cracking up. I'm like, "What else can you see, Lorraine?" Yeah, this woman was 100 times I've seen her do things that amazed me. Simply. But the thing about I always found about a true psychic, the ones I met a lot of people that claim they're psychic.
Mhm.
They hardly ever say they're psychic. They don't say, "Hey, I'm psychic." She never would say, she never walk in a room and go, "I'm a clairvoyant." Never. Not one time I've ever heard her say that. It's just in you. And it's
Yep.
part of you, not something you throw out. You don't advertise it, say, "I'm a psychic." And like, because then I'll put you to the test and I will do it.
Yep.
That's one of the things I did with them. And but yeah, it's humbling, I guess, when you have that ability, you don't throw it around, abuse it. Yeah, things like that.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that do that nowadays, and
Oh, it's so many. And I can see through so many of them. It's pretty funny, actually. It's pretty funny. It's just, don't tell me in a haunting. My friend Jimmy, I'm sure he'll be watching this on YouTube, Mr. Haunted, because he knows me extremely well.
I'm
I am
surprised
not the type. I don't know if he can make it or not. He's probably working actually, but he will watch this 100%. I know he will. He told me he will. But I'm a type of guy. Don't tell me in a haunted. Oh, I feel something. Oh, it's over there. I could feel. You could feel it. Show it to me. Where is it?
yeah,
And it's actually with Jimmy. I've gone when we've seen an apparition one time. I went towards it. Biggest mistake I could have made. Actually, I tried to touch it, and it was ice cold. But I mean, I should have never done it. But that's how my head works. Is I have to see it and touch it and experience it. Don't tell me you could feel it because that's nothing to me. That's improved shit. I could feel it. I could feel lots of stuff.
right,
And yeah, I'm probably wrong and I'm probably an asshole to saying it, but that's how I feel. That's how I think in my head. Yeah.
right, and that's like both my dad and I, we both had NDEs,
Yeah.
and we both kinda got a little bit of abilities, but we don't go around saying, "Oh, we're psychic, we're doing this, we're doing that."
Right. It's kind of funny, and you would never have mentioned it unless I actually said that, which is humbling. And that is, again, what I said about, I think a lot of psychic people don't say it, they don't throw it in your face.
Yep. And I don't use mine as much like my dad does. He'll do it when he's interviewing clients, so that way if they're lying to us or something, he's pretty good at reading people and judging if they're lying to us
Yeah.
or hiding something.
Right. Yeah.
Mine, I kinda keep closed down a little bit. I don't use them as much because with me being the team lead, keeping my team safe, that's my
Right.
priority, and if I'm opening myself up, then I'm draining myself, and then I'm no good to nobody.
Right. Right. And and it is funny, and it's still I'm still figuring it out, but I actually posted a video that we're working on a giant podcast right now. And this summer we're going to start filming it. They approached me about it, but my heart stopped. And out of coincidence, I'm not saying it was her, but Annabelle was in the back of my Jeep the week before my heart stopped. And I was into bodybuilding, I was into health and
Mhm.
just health fanatic and no drugs, nothing. And my heart just stopped one day and I passed away for 7 minutes. And I did see something when I passed over where it's my memory. I was so convinced that I saw this that when I was there, I didn't even know I was sick. And when they brought me back, it felt like I fell backwards. And I look up and there's all these doctors and nurses, working to revive me. And I saw some strange things, nothing horrifying, actually, some crazy things there. But I saw dogs at one point playing. And the nurse said the first thing I said when they revived me was, "Where are all these fucking dogs coming from?" And I was laughing. And she goes, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Was I outside?" And they're like, "No, you were in the hospital." I'm
Right.
like, "I was outside. I know I was outside. And it was beautiful out." And so, but when I did come back, I realize I can start feeling people's emotions like an empath type of
Yep.
deal. And it's nothing I try to train in, nothing I use because it actually is maddening to me sometimes because it's constant. It's constant when there's a room full of people. And you want to cry at one point, you want to, or if someone's you feel this joy, you feel it, you feel sorrow, and it's hit you so hard, it drains you, like you said. You know, I passed a woman on the street. I work in New Haven, Connecticut, in a pretty dark section. I work at Yale University, and a prostitute passed me. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning. I was walking to the building, and she just walked by me, didn't even acknowledge me. Like it's kind of insulting, but not joking. But she walked by me, and I just felt this sorrow. And almost like I felt her as a little girl, like this is not who she wanted to be when she was a little girl. She had dreams. I felt that all of a sudden, this rush of feelings. It ruined the whole day. It really did. And that's the bad part of having some kind of a ability, I would say. And I don't use it. I don't like to use it. And it comes by itself and won't leave me alone sometimes, but
Yeah,
it's just,
mine
yeah,
does too. I'm the same way if I get in a crowd of people
yeah, it's horrible.
and you could just feel all of it.
Yeah.
Plus, even if they're talking about me or something, they're not looking at me, I can sense it when they're
Right.
someone's talking about me, and
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny because if someone is, I'll say, don't like me, which I hope there's not too many of those. Um, I can feel it, but I feel more than that. I feel like an insecurity in there, it's more of a one dimension of, "No, I don't like you." It's like layers of just things I feel behind it, and you almost get emotionally connected with these people in that way. You don't get angry, you're
Yep.
weary, but you feel kind of bad, and that's the outlook I think I discussed with you. I first met you and talked to you
Mhm.
was you have to have some understanding. You can't just be angry at people all the time because
Yep.
it's going to drain you. Understand there's insecurities in there, and there's hurt in there, and there's a lot of things that make up their anger. And you don't want to be a victim of it, but a little understanding goes a long way too.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's even my issue. That's why I separated from that issue and kinda went low key for a little bit just to clear everything up and get a clear sense.
yeah, yeah. But it's funny because sometimes you got to just step back and stuff like that. And I mean, you know, it says, let's see, with Shelly Ritchie saying, seeing some fakes in action. Oh, yeah, Shelly, we know. We hear you. Sorry, I just noticed that on the corner of my screen. I hear you.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been quite a few decades. I've seen a lot. But yeah, but it's, again, like with you, it's you stepped away, and that's the healthy thing to do. It's something as toxic a situation, you just kind of step back a little bit, and you hope that maybe it heal, and don't hate, don't but you want to stay away. You don't want to get sick from it, but
Yep.
yeah, hope they heal. That's it.
Yeah, that's all you can do is pray
Yeah,
for 'em.
yeah, that's it. And hope they find their peace too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, that's even like my dad. My dad gets this white glow that goes around him when he uses his abilities.
yeah, that's interesting. Wow, wow, that would just wow.
He did it last year at the Missouri State. They had a girl that was, she had Pott's disease, and with the Warren's occult items there, she got overcame and she got severely drained, and they thought they were gonna have to call the ambulance for her,
Yeah,
and they brought her to the lobby, and my dad was sitting in the lobby because he couldn't walk very well with his knees, and they said, "Set her down here with me," and he did some sprayed his hands with holy water, and she held his hands, and he did some prayers with her, and he had a cleansing medallion he gave her, and everybody's seen this white glow go around him,
that's
and
amazing.
she just
That's
snapped out of it, and she lasted the rest of the night through the event till
that's
4 in the morning.
amazing. You're saying it, and you probably know because I think in one of the Conjurings, I think Lorraine, actually, the character, says what Lorraine Warren used to tell us. We'd go in these houses, and she would say, before we walk in this house, I want you to imagine yourself in God's good white light. Or if you don't really believe in God, she said, if you believe in a rock, if that is your belief, you use that rock as your
Yep,
strength, and
yep,
you get that light from that rock. So whatever your religion, beliefs are, whatever, use that light and to protect yourself. And she was adamant with that. It was if you were sick or drunk, whatever, if you tried to drink, you were not allowed to go into these houses with us because that's a kink in your armor.
yep.
And you're in danger. And we would never put people in danger. So a lot of people we wouldn't let come with us because of that reason.
Yeah, we don't allow that as well on my team either.
Yeah. And it's funny, Judy, their daughter, she's not in it. She has abilities, and she's getting embarrassed. So she'll probably watch us and yell at me for saying it out loud because she has almost, I sense an embarrassment from it, but it's a beautiful thing. She's beautiful like her mother, inside and out. Same wonderful, loving heart. And Tony, he gets a lot of shit, like I said, from people. I don't get it. I
Yeah,
just,
I don't either.
if you knew him like personally as a person, you would love this guy. And so I don't get the whole backlash on him. But those two together, it's just they make a team, Tony and Judy,
Mhm.
and they're just fast. They're fabulous people. But I see Lorraine in Judy so much. Her eyes, especially.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah, she's got her mom's
oh
eye.
my gosh, yes, same beautiful personality and everything. And The Conjuring that's coming out. I don't know if people even know this yet or not. Little inside scoop. But there are Tony and Judy are the main characters in the movie.
Yep.
There are actors playing them, and their characters are there. And hopefully, we're hoping. I'm saying too much now. They're hoping that they can carry their story on through HBO movies and specials and things like that.
Yeah,
But
I did see they were gonna do, like, a TV series of The Conjuring
they're
after.
thinking about it. It's actually being thought about. HBO, is Warner Brothers. They own The Conjuring, and it's being mulled around a little bit, you know. But we'll see. We'll see.
Which they should carry on that storyline and that legacy.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And it's Judy is, like I said, a beautiful person. So I'd love to see her story told.
Yeah,
I think, and I'll be honest, and I could be mistaken. Judy will yell at me if I'm wrong, but I don't think she's ever set foot in that museum.
I
She
don't
will not go in there. She goes to the house all the time. The house is secure, has security, has somebody living there, but the museum is connected, as a lot of you guys know, to the house.
Yep.
And I've never, all these years, I've never seen her in that museum. And I think she even said, I won't go in there. I hardly seen Lorraine in the museum, I'll be honest. I've seen her in there, but only a few times of all these
I
years.
think Ed was in there more than.
Ed was there all the time. His office was in there.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, his office was right in that museum. But Lorraine, she'll go to the door, you know. Yeah, honey. I can still hear her voice. But yeah, and Ed, and this was funny. I remember years when I first met them, and he took me to the museum, and he looked at me and he goes, I'm telling you now, before we walk in this door, you do not touch a thing. If you touch something by mistake, you tell me immediately, he said. He goes, I am not joking with you. And Edgar had that tough side, but funny side.
Mhm.
I remember, like, oh, God, like 20s. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. And that's how I knew it was serious, because why is he telling this kid that
Right.
he knows that there was no cameras around us. There was no Conjuring movies yet. But he said, you do not touch a thing in this museum. And that's when I knew them before, I'll say The Conjuring, before TV started having shows about ghost people investigating. And there was nothing like that.
Right.
Uh, and I remember when I first was helping them, and it was a couple of years I was into it now. And I worked, at Yale. And few people knew what I did as a hobby, and I was embarrassed. I was like, actually, really, people thought we were crazy back then. There were no TV shows. It wasn't cool yet. You were crazy. So I was kind of quiet about it, until I think we were on television and somebody saw me, with the Warrens. And
Mhm.
that's when kind of the cat was out of the bag.
Well, that's even like the other rumors that, Roger Perrin punched Ed and told him to get
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's funny. It's some of these stories are, just they're in, you'll see them online, because if it's online, it has to be real, right?
Yep.
What?
You give somebody a story and they just run with it.
Yeah, they just like the Annabelle escape thing from last week. I mean, what was that? Where did it even come from? I mean, Annabelle is missing? Like, what? She's standing right there on the pedestal in the museum. They're putting her back up there, and oh no, she's missing. That's why I made that funny AI with her running away, because I made an AI with Annabelle jumping out of the case and running as a joke, because it was so funny that people were believing it. And I was getting texts from all over the place, from people that knew I knew them. And like, is she really missing? Where is she? And like, dude, she's not missing.
Yeah, I was getting them too because a lot of people know that I'm the cousin
Yeah, it's
of them,
funny.
and they're messaging me, "Annabelle
Yeah,
really escaped?" I'm like,
yeah.
"No, she's on her way back home."
Yeah. No, she was back when the time they said that. She was already back. And then there was another one where New Orleans, and I guess it was a bad fire. I
Yeah,
don't.
Marie Laveau's house burned.
Yeah, that burned. And then there was a prison escape, and Annabelle was there, I think, a couple of days before that. And people are
Yep,
like, "Oh, she had something to do with it." And I'm like, that same week that happened, a boat hit the Brooklyn Bridge. A bunch of people died. There was an earthquake. There were fires. People died. There were just tragedies. There was bad car accidents. No matter where you go in this country, there's going to be something bad. So if you have Annabelle with you, odds are something bad is happening in the country. They want to blame it on Annabelle.
yep,
It's just, if you just look at the whole picture, bad stuff happens everywhere. So if Annabelle's in that town, doesn't mean she caused it.
right.
Yeah. It's funny though, in a way, I mean, it's almost humorous.
Well, that's like I've seen comments now out that because Annabelle's going to Gettysburg next month,
Mhm.
now that's the worst place to take her with all the stuff that
See, but people don't
wants
know
to say.
Annabelle's been in Gettysburg already.
Yeah, she was
This
there
isn't her first trip. And again, I'm not crazy about her movie, and I am not. And they know how I feel about it. I'm not that crazy about them taking her around, but they know what they're doing. I trust Tony 100% on what he's doing.
Yep,
Um, but she's been there before. She has, you
right.
know.
That's
Yeah,
what Ed wanted. He wanted people to learn about these items
you
and
do. Yeah. People wanted to see it, but the museum, and learn from it and experience it. They couldn't anymore because of the Conjuring movies and the neighbors, who are great neighbors, but who want hunch of people on their little dead end
yeah,
cul-de-sac every day. But so their Tony's and Dan's idea was, let's take this museum, some of it, and bring it to people so they can
yep,
learn. And and they talk about, you were there, the
yep.
one in Gettysburg. You said they teach you about the bad of this side. It's
Yeah,
even
Wade
what you do is
does a good
dangerous.
job of that. Wade does.
Ah, Wade's awesome. I freaking love Wade. He's just a freaking incredible human being. I love
That
that guy.
in Gettysburg there at the Warren's Paracon, they actually brought some of Ed and Lorraine's stuff there, and they set
Yeah,
up
from the
well,
desk, right?
they brought their tools and some
Yeah,
photos of Ed and
cameras.
Lorraine's, and
Yeah, tape recorder. Yeah, you, Ed used that tape recorder. I remember him using it actually. I
and
think oh, there, I heard you. You came back. You were gone for a minute. You
and
there?
they also had his holy water bottle and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, it's that tape recorder. I remember him using that tape recorder, and it's funny. He was old school. There were no gadgets. We didn't have meters, and
Mhm.
we had a tape recorder, a video camera, regular cameras, and the biggest tool we had that was most accurate was Lorraine. She
Yeah.
was our tool. Yeah. We didn't have all these meters and stuff. We had her, and she was insanely accurate. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she definitely was.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
like I was, telling Tony when I had Tony on my show, this was about a year ago, and we were talking about Lorraine, and I said to Tony, I said, "I think she knew that we were related to him because she added me as a friend on Facebook in 2006
That's
after
funny.
Ed passed away."
That's funny. That's funny that, they, again, the woman amazed me. I mean, in a really quick story with Lorraine, they would send us in houses before they showed up. They would send like Jimmy and I or Tony, whoever, into these houses. We'd interview the people, we take pictures, walk around with the family. They'd explain things to us. And then when Ed and Lorraine got there, we were not allowed to talk to them about it. We were just allowed to videotape them and carry the cameras and equipment. And there was one house we were in, and I'll never forget the lady. The house was not a bad haunting. Sinks would turn on, kind of like what you said. She'd smell things cooking. Christmas ornaments would be arranged, but there was one room, and she'd hear a baby crying in this room. And I'll never forget her telling me that. And then Lorraine shows up an hour later, and I'm walking through her, and she stops in the doorway of this room, and she's looking, and I'm like, "What do you see, Lorraine?" And she's like, "I see a woman holding a baby in the corner of the room." That was the room they heard the baby crying in. How the hell would she even know there's a baby
Right.
crying? Never mind in that room of this giant house. I mean, and she saw her in the corner holding the baby, and I was just like, wow, that's amazing, amazing. Yeah,
Yeah, she's amazing at what she
Uh,
does. Some of the things that I've heard stories about. Dan's told me stories. Wade.
yeah, she was incredible. It was she always everyone she met, she made it feel welcome. She just loved people, loved them actually. And we do these seminars and we talk about this. Tony brings this up sometimes too. But we do these seminars back in the day when they were both active, and we'd have thousands of people in these college auditoriums, and we'd leave, and of course you'd get hundreds of people walking up to you, to Lorraine especially, and they're like asking questions. She would stand there and talk to every single one of those people with care, every one of them until they were all gone. Of course, Ed's in the background. Come on, Lorraine, I'm hungry. Let's go get food. What are you doing? You know, he was funnier than hell. But every one of them until you people would call her at 2 in the morning about they find her number and call her about a haunting, and she would stay for hours talking to them. How she was. She's a beautiful person.
Yeah,
That's who Lorraine Warren was. In case if people don't really know who she was, that was Lorraine Warren. Yeah.
yeah. I could tell by her and by Ed, they were good people, and
Yeah. It's sad. It's sad when people do say bad things about them. Like I said, they didn't know who they were, and I'm glad they didn't know because that's the kind of person I don't want them to know. It's funny. It's I don't want them to be with that, but I would think that even the worst person would meet Lorraine and their heart would melt. Actually,
yeah,
and yeah,
yeah. It breaks my heart too to see all the hateful stuff online about them and people saying this and saying that when they don't
and
know.
brushed it off. He just brushed it off, dude. He just
Yep,
did. He just brushed it off. He just didn't dwell on it. And that's why I tell you, it's everyone out there, and what you guys do, I have the honor of saying I was trained by the best people probably in the world in this field, and since the '90s, early '90s, and but a lot of people are going out there and they're investigating, and sometimes they're making things worse, or they're making things, they're putting themselves in danger, and the people they're helping put them in danger. And the only advice I can give that's sound, I guess, is be careful, of course, but follow through. A lot of people just go into these houses, get things riled up, take some pictures, get their little evidence, and leave. And
yep,
here's the family like, what's going on? We fixed so many of those cases like that because they were just left high and dry because the people got things on camera. It's all they wanted, not the family. And here's the family standing there dumbfounded. And please, when you anyone listening that investigates, see it through all the way through, no matter how boring it gets. It does get boring, and you have to see it through. Make sure
yeah,
they're okay. You're there, you're invested, and see it through.
yeah. We've had to go back too as well and fix
Yeah,
messes that other teams have done.
yeah,
Or if they did see it through, they messed up a cleansing on the house and they just trapped that entity in there and they just angered it even more. And
before you leave, you want to make sure it's gone. I mean, it's funny. I think Jimmy and I could laugh at some of the stories, but we've spent night after night after in houses where nothing happened, but we spent night after night after in those houses to make sure nothing happened. I mean, it's following through. It's what you do. And when they need you back, you go back. You don't ignore them. It's,
yep,
yeah,
exactly. And we always call clients and check on them. Our very first one, it was actually a demonic case that we did. And it was starting to turn, it was in an oppression case. It was going to turn into possession if we didn't get it in time. And we watched an upside down cross get scratched into this lady's neck.
right. Scratches are so friggin' bad if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's contact. Yeah.
Eyes
Yeah.
rolling in the back of her head, saying, "It's mine. I don't want it to leave." And
Yeah.
it took about 6 months to get that place back in order, and now she's back to normal. She's knitting, she's loving her family again. She despised her husband when she was under that,
Yeah.
and he's an EMT firefighter, nicest guy you want to meet in the world, and her marriage was on a downhill slope. She didn't like her family either. When we
Well,
were her
why?
daughter says, "I love you, mom," and she walked right and went like this and
Yeah.
ran out the door.
Why do you think? And I know why. I mean, because love is the most powerful thing that we could put out to each other, and any demonic spirit hates that. That's what they hate. So they're going to turn that person they're afflicting against that feeling, and it's happened so many times in these hauntings, and it's sad actually, but they have to stay strong too. You have to try to support them so they can find the strength also.
Yep, and we're now like family to them. They invite us over to dinner, and they invite
That's
us to Thanksgiving dinner, and
that's great actually. That's more, it's worth more than any money they can, out
yep,
there. And like I said about the money thing and things like that, this is what we look for, is just
yep,
friendship and family, or just somebody that walks away happy and satisfied.
yep, that's what does it for us
Uh,
is we see a family that's happy because they got their life back and their house back after being
right,
terrorized for months or years,
right.
something.
Yeah.
That's
Think
what
about it. It's like a
we
burglar living in your house. You want to get them out, right?
yep,
Yeah.
and we don't charge either. We do it all for free.
Don't charge. Yeah. Because it's like, first of all, it dilutes what you're doing. And people are going to say you are anyways, because there's evil people out there, but
Mm,
just don't. I mean, that's one thing a person does not need, is who's something's happened they don't understand, is to fork over money. What does that even say right there? It's just, to me, is bizarre. It's actually right out bizarre.
yep,
Yeah.
and
Break fingers. That's
we just got called for a case, and they had brought out because it's Native American land, it's on the Trail of Tears. They called in a shaman out to help clear the land. He charged them $500.
you know, and I get it. Did he have to travel? Maybe a hotel? I don't know. Why? But
He's that far away, actually.
I hope it's not because of his abilities to help them, but I get, maybe if he couldn't, it's far away, need a hotel, or how am I to get there? I get that, but I mean, it's but I hope it wasn't because he's gonna, I'll save your life, but I want to charge you first.
Right.
I hope it wasn't that. Yeah, I hope. Yeah,
I mean, like us, we travel out of state. We'll travel around the country helping
right.
people, and we don't charge one dime. We spend it all out of our own pocket.
Right. It's, again, and if you said you needed it for gas money, I get it, of course, but not for helping people, right? Yeah.
I
What
mean, we've
is
had some people offer us, and we won't take it.
No, I mean, it's funny, and yeah, and if you want to, it's natural to want to make money off of what you do, but maybe you can do that through seminars, help,
Yeah.
and help books and things like how to investigate. That's fun, and that's fun stuff. It's fun reading, and plus you're helping someone. I get making a profit off of that, but it's about as far as it goes with me, actually. Yeah.
I work a full-time job. That's where I make my money.
You too, pal. Yeah. Yeah. I work full time, more than full time, but yeah, that's how I
I
do it. Yeah.
work in a haunted school.
You do? No
Yep.
way. Grammar school? I mean, it sounds silly me asking this question
It's,
because it's a case with the Warrens.
K through 12. It's still an active working school.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a grammar school. All right. Yeah.
I'm a night custodian there.
Really?
The place was built in the 1800s.
Yeah. Dude, that's insane. Do you know why it's haunted?
Uh, they've had several funerals and stuff there, and
Yeah, you're saying this, and there was a case, and I think I probably mistaken, West Haven, Connecticut, and maybe Style School. I don't remember if that was the name of the school, but this is going back years ago, probably mid 90s. And it was a school, and they were doing construction to it, and the construction team quit because they heard a little girl crying at nighttime.
mhm,
And then the janitor, custodian, was cleaning, and he would see a little blonde-headed girl at the end of the hall, but run down to the stairwell crying in the middle of the night. You work after school, it's
yep,
out, and they'd quit. the construction people would quit. And it turned out back in the 60s, a little girl did fall down the stairs and she died. She was broke her neck, unfortunately, on the stairs. And this school is where she sat all these years crying. It broke my heart. I'll never forget, because that's why I remember that story. And Lorraine going in there to tell her, honey, you're gone. It's okay, and people are waiting for you. And it did eventually stop. I just remember that being such an emotional haunting for me, anyways.
Right.
This little girl sat there since the 60s, walking around, probably confused, probably looking for her mom, crying, and scaring the hell out of people, but she wasn't trying to. She was just looking for help. And thank God Lorraine helped her. But it was, those are the kind of hauntings which really get to me, to your heart.
Oh, yeah, the first one I worked at, the school was built in, like, 1953, but they merged, like, 3 different schools together that were built in the 1800s, and when I first started there, I was told there was a kid that was working after school, and he said there was a little girl that he seen roaming the hallways. So, my first week I was there, still getting used to the building, I was cleaning the home ec room, and I decided to stop and go eat dinner. Come back, and I had shut the door to the home ec room. Come back, the door's open, lights are on. I'm the only one in the building.
Oh
Look
boy.
look at the bathroom, and the bathroom lights on.
Yeah.
They're motion lights. And so next day I went to the superintendent because I heard sound like kids running up down the hallway. So that night, and I never did find a kid. Went looking for it. So I went to the superintendent the next day and I said, "Are you aware of what's going on in here?" I said, "This place is haunted." That there's kids running up down the hallway, lights are turning on their own, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm losing a custodian." I'm like, "No, you're not." I said, "This is what I do. I investigate this stuff."
Right.
And
Right.
she was like, "Well, I'm aware of the phantom basketball bouncing in the gym."
Oh boy. All right. So that happens all the time.
And so I was like, "Is it okay if I set up cameras in the hallway while I'm working?" She says, "Yeah, I don't care as long as you're working." So I get done with cleaning, shut the lights off, and I'd set up game cameras all through the hallway. Well, the one night my dad had come in, and the one camera's in the high school hallway right where the custodial closet is, and I'm standing there looking at him, I see his hat go flying off his head. I'm like, "Oh, you did that, you're just playing a joke on me." He's like, "No, I didn't do that." So we pick up that camera, get down the hallway, and this time I'm staring straight at him. His hands are down by his side. There goes his hat flying backwards off his head again. And this time I knew he wasn't playing a joke. And then I got home and I put the SD cards in my computer and I captured a little girl at the end of the hallway on camera.
Wow, that's insane. That's again right away. My heart's broken. Isn't that funny? That's how I
Yep.
think in my head. That's
And
just heartbreaking to me.
those cameras only react to motion. So there was
Right,
nobody going up and down the hallways because I was
right,
the only one there. And the
right.
one night I was cleaning and I got that feeling like something was right behind me. And I quick turned around and here's the little girl from her neck up. That's
Yeah.
all I saw of her.
Right. Sometimes as they don't always
Yep, she didn't turn
materialize
the rest
completely.
of the way, and she was right behind me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I used to play little games with her. I'd be working in the gym. She'd go over and knock on the one set of bleachers. So I'd go to the other side and knock on the bleachers back to her. And then she'd run over to that set of bleachers where I just knocked, and she'd knock over there. So I'd go to the other one and knock on the other one. We had
Yeah.
this little game we'd play every night.
Can you imagine what was going through her, say her mind, if I can say that? But someone's communicating with her. Here
Yep.
she is. I don't know how long that girl's been there for, but
Yeah, I
somebody.
don't know. I tried to do some history on it, figure
Yeah.
out. I couldn't
Yeah.
find nothing.
You don't have to die there to be a ghost. You know that. It could be any reason. It could have been a happy place for her at one
Right.
time. No, and
That
that's where she goes
when
back.
they merged, they brought in stuff from even
Right.
schools too, so it could be something like the one
Could
school had burned down,
yeah,
and they managed to salvage some stuff, and they brought it
right.
into that school, so she may have died in that school fire.
Possible. Yeah, it's so yeah, and as you know, again, like we were talking before, it could be something you bring in, like you said. It could be a death there. It could be a place where they were happy when
Yep,
they were children, and that's where they're at right now. And it's so puzzling, and that's the part
yep,
which again gets in my head that I try to figure out constantly is, all right, why is this happening? How do we fix this? How do we help this person or spirit?
right.
Yeah. And
Then the
everyone
other
thinks,
one I worked at for 5 years, which is in town here where I live, that was built in 1909, and we got told that it was haunted by the previous custodian was telling us, and, so they let us come in and investigate it, and we set up DVR cameras throughout the building. I had one in the gym overlooking the south hallway, which was built in the '90s. There's a ladies' staff bathroom there, and we had fully shut it, so it was latched, and on camera, we caught you see fingers coming through the
oh boy,
door from the
that's
inside
amazing. Yeah,
and pulling the door open from the inside,
that's amazing. Yeah,
and
that's amazing.
we caught a mist going across the gym in broad daylight,
Right.
and then later down the road, I started working there, and I would have to go in early in the morning and open the building up and get it ready, and I hear all sorts of things. I see it on the stage, the curtains would move like somebody was peeking through the curtains, and
A lot of times, and could be the case. I don't know, but they're as curious about us as we are with them.
mhm,
They're like, "What are these people? Why are they here?" Sometimes they don't know they're dead, or they're so confused, and they're
yep,
like, what are these people doing? And again, we can go all the way back to the Amityville Horror House picture of the little boy.
yep,
And if you really look at that picture, he's looking like he's leaning out the door looking. He's almost
yeah,
like,
kinda
who
curious,
are you? Yeah, like, who are you? Because again, it could be a state of confusion and
yep,
for him and wondering, like, what are you doing here? And that's a case for a lot of hauntings. And it's another thing that a lot of people investigate hauntings, and right away, it's demonic. It has to be demonic.
yeah, that
Odds,
gets thrown
odds are it's not demonic. I'll be honest with you. All the cases, and I'm saying there's hundreds. I've worked with them, and very few were demonic.
yep, it's very
Hauntings and demonic are just totally different things, actually. But right away, people, oh, it's demonic. It's demonic. No. You'll know if it's demonic. As Ed would always say that too. Oh, you'll know if it's demonic or not. It'll let you know.
oh, yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't do it gently, he says. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, with a demonic case, even like us, you feel that, you can feel that intense pressure against your chest, feels like you're walking through deep mud that you can't
Dude, been
move,
pushed, been thrown to the ground. Things have been thrown violently.
yep,
Those are when I'm like, yeah, okay, that's a demonic haunting, those kind of things. Scratches, for instance.
yep,
No ghost wants to come and scratch you. That's just it. Like I said, it's contact first of all, but it's violent contact. Even a scratch is a violent contact.
and a lot of people don't realize your demonic scratches look like razor blades.
Right. You're very right. I don't know if everyone does look like that. I don't know, but they are usually the ones that we've seen are very small, straight lines, whatever. But I've seen some where you can actually see the bruise of the impact of something wrenching like an arm, for instance,
Yep,
holding it down, and violent like that. But again, not everything is treat it like it is if you want to. Don't get me wrong. I don't want you to go into a house, think, oh, it's a friendly ghost, and it turns out I'm wrong, it's demonic. But don't assume it's always demonic.
yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah,
very rare.
yeah.
I tell people too, it's maybe a past owner. It's like you're a burglar breaking into their house. What are you gonna wanna do? You're gonna wanna hurt
Confused.
somebody to protect your property and your family.
Right. Right. Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
they're doing even as they're dead.
Right. I mean, it's funny. I would love to. I do this all the time on Instagram. I ask people for their ghost stories, even if it's small. Every little paranormal story is interesting to me. I love hearing them. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
in comments. I hope they leave some stuff because I love reading it, and yeah, it's fascinating to me. Just it
Yeah,
really
it's
is.
interesting, and,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I've done probably well over 160 residential cases, so
Right. Right. And it's funny. Sometimes they're nothing. We've done
yep,
that is what they used me for a lot, was to prove it wasn't a haunting, and that is how my brain thinks immediately. Is all right. There's an explanation for this. It's
right.
not a ghost, and it's that maybe 8 to 10% that were ghosts that just blew my mind. But a lot of times there's explanations, and but it's as important to the person, because even if it is an imagination or a leaky pipe, whatever, it's terrifying to them. So you
Yeah.
can't downgrade it to them. You have to be on the level, but you have to understand these people are terrified.
Yep,
And
exactly, and,
yeah, yeah,
like, my dad and I, we both have a carpentry, electrical, and plumbing background, so that works out for us good with a lot of these old houses
right,
because we can go in and see the structural side of it too, that footstep they're hearing could be a floorboard just shifting with moisture or
right. It's funny. That's actually a great background to have, because dimming lights and
yep,
flashing lights say the houses are old, the wiring's old, or you have a ghost that's fucking with you on the but you had had more experience than probably most of us and how to figure that out.
yep, and I've worked as an electrician, so I've been in a lot of these old houses with that knob and tube wiring. A
Right.
lot of that stuff is spliced here and there in the walls, and a lot of that
Yeah.
gets chewed by mice, and that's where a lot of your flickering comes from, your power surges, and
But also comes from ghosts. But
yep,
it's funny you're saying this, and again, I've asked a million questions from them. We learned so much from Ed and Lorraine, but that is, I'm sure it's like a lot of ghost. You saw the little girl from the neck up, whatever, and they manifest, but they use the energy around them. And a lot of times, light, electricity is energy, or that's why this flickering or dimming of lights, rooms get cold because they're using that energy to manifest in front of you. And there are a few hauntings where it started as a pin light, and slowly, as the room got colder, it manifested in front of them.
yep,
And
exactly.
that is one of the reasons, beside the wiring, why some lights dim in houses and things
That's
like
why they use a lot of batteries. That's why we have to keep an endless supply of batteries for our
that.
equipment because of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize if you test the theory with thunderstorms, a thunderstorm will set off a EMF detector and a millimeter.
Right, right. And it's funny you're in it saying that, and it's one of the things I won't say get on my nerves, but make me go, is orbs. I took a picture in the
Oh,
graveyard. There's all these orbs. There's graveyard.
yeah.
All right. There's a simple test you can do, and it really is simple. It's because at nighttime, especially, there's moisture in the air and dust particles. If it's a lot of sand, reflects off a flashlight. I'm a photographer, so this is like my field. What you can do simply is take a flashlight, really strong flashlight, hold it, and look at the beam sideways, and look really good at that beam, and you'll be able to see if there's moisture in the air reflecting off of that beam.
Mhm.
And if you see it, I'll be honest, still take your pictures, because you might get an image or something. But if you're seeing orbs, odds are, it's, if you do that flashlight test and you see that in there, it's probably just a reflection off your thing. And people look at the orb and blow it up on their screen. Well, I can see something. You can show me any picture and I can see something in it. It doesn't mean it's there. That's my brain. That is what I do for the war, what I did for them, and I still do, is I take pictures and rip them apart, actually, trying to see what it could
Right.
be. And some are incredible, though.
I
Some
bought
are,
this one camera, one side's night vision, one side's full spectrum, and it's supposed to be an orb debunker. So
yeah.
you get an orb that passes through night vision. If it's a traditional, it should pass through the ultraviolet spectrum of light.
Okay. Did it
And
work?
if it doesn't, then you don't have a traditional orb. Once it passes through that ultraviolet, it turns into like a light anomaly type.
Yeah. And did you try it? Did it work or
Oh yeah, it works.
no? I don't know. Do you know who Jimmy Petonito is, Mr. Haunted?
Oh yeah, I know Jimmy. I
Okay,
love
a lot of people
Jimmy.
know him. Now, I've known him since I was young. I mean, again, he's the one that brought me up to
He
meet the
cracked me up
Warrens
with
and the
some
whole.
of
He
his
is so funny, first of all, but I'm gonna embarrass the hell out of him now. He's Ed
sure
called him.
Bill did already.
What's that?
Bill
Oh,
Hall did.
Bill Hall. Oh yeah, he's great. But Ed called Jimmy Petonito one time one of the best psychic photographers he ever met in his life, and Jimmy doesn't brag about it. His pictures blow my mind. And I can't take a psychic picture for anything. I just take the regular old ass thumb, pictures. I've switched cameras with this kid before, and you can tell exactly where we switched the pictures because my camera that he has now has
Mhm,
all crap on it. And you can tell when I stopped taking because my pictures are boring, straightforward pictures. Some of the things I've seen on his pictures blow my mind. Things looking back at you, things that like looking at us, almost like curious, being curious, looking at us. And
mhm.
he has a talent. And again, that psychic thing I'm talking about, he don't brag about that. But that's what Ed called him one of the best psychic photographers he ever met in his life. And so you
Yeah,
can tease him about
I check out a lot of his stuff too.
that. But he's funny. Jimmy has a sense of humor
Oh, he
that
does.
is off the charts. He is funnier than hell, but he takes this very serious too. When we do this, it's very serious. There's two sides to Jimmy. And one is, like I said, the funniest person. He's a comedian, but the real ghost side of him, it's dead
Mhm.
ass serious. No joke. Yeah.
Some of his TikTok videos crack me up.
Yeah, he's funny, dude.
He reenacts, that, Robert Stack
There's so many of them. Yeah.
mystery.
His it's funny because I'm more of the guy who I like to step back. I like to give you the spotlight. But yeah, Jimmy is awesome. Isn't he great? He's like my best friend. He's incredible. I've known him as a kid. But I enjoy him getting the spot. But he has been on 2020 sightings. He's been on these incredible shows that featured him. And he is the real deal. And you look at Jimmy or his videos, his funny videos, like this guy's not serious. He
Yeah,
is so serious. It's two faces to this kid, and it's he's amazing. He is amazing friend and amazing paranormal investigator. Yeah,
yeah, he was harassing Bill Hall when I had Bill Hall on the show.
yeah. They wrote a book together. Messages,
Yeah,
second messages. Yeah, I'm in that book. Believe I'm in all Jimmy's books. He made a few books, and then got him into all these books. My name is throughout the books, and I get all excited. Jimmy's like, "I wrote a book, and you're in it." I'm all excited. But he's a great guy, and like I said, he's the one that got me in with the Warrens. Rick, you got to meet these people. That's how he talks. Rick, you got to meet these people. They're ghost investigators. And I'm like, what? And here I am a week later hanging out with them at their house. But yeah. So how
yeah.
long do you go on this thing for? How long does this last for? I don't want to keep you
We
from
can go as long as you
I
want.
don't know how it works.
We can
How
do
you,
we can do an hour and a half, or we can do.
yeah, whatever you want. I'm fine, I don't want to bore the hell out of you,
Oh, you're not boring me.
but ask questions. I mean, if anybody has a question.
Yeah,
Jimmy, yeah. See, Jimmy's always coming up all the time though. See, Jimmy's awesome. Yeah, we know.
we still got a bunch of people hanging strong, so
Yeah, I'm totally enjoying this podcast. There's so many familiar stories at Lorraine and one in a million. She taught me well. Lorraine was a wonderful. I was actually, I hate saying this, but I was her pallbearer. That's how close I was to her. My relationship with both of them was really tight. And like I said, Lorraine, I think there's 3 or 4 women in my life that really were strong figures, and she was one of those people who were in my life that got us through a lot of crap, and just there as a wonderful human being. And I always tell people I get people asked, "What were the Warrens like?" And I said before, it wasn't all about ghosts, but it was just really good family and friends that so happened to investigate haunted houses. That was the back burner with them when you knew them. Her religion was important, and Just being a wonderful human being was important. That's why you got to stick up for them when you see that bad shit online. In your heart, just stay. You know what? People are going to be evil. People are going to say bad things. Those people did not know them, and
Exactly.
yeah. So
Yeah, I stay quiet. I see it all over, and I just
yeah,
stay
what can you
quiet
say? Yeah,
because it's just arguing with a peanut gallery, and
that's what it is. It's internet muscles, keyboard muscles. It's like
yep,
they're all tough, and because they're behind a keyboard, and they say this crap, which they read it, so it has to be true. But if you knew them, I think you'd be ashamed of yourself for writing that stuff. First of all,
exactly.
I just wish that people would know them. Known who they were, because it's not. There's a lot of good stuff online about them, but there's a lot of they're fakes, they're frauds. I don't get it.
Yeah, they did it all for money, and
There was no money. They were not wealthy people. They were middle class people that made money off of books and seminars, and that was it. I mean, they were not wealthy. Their house is like my house. It's like a middle class house in Connecticut. It's yeah. Uh,
and Ed used to sell his paintings and stuff like that. He was a
yeah.
talented artist.
Now I'm sure. Let me see who said it. Oh, Sandy Mary. Hello, Sandy Mary. But she probably knows this story about how they used to get into the houses. You know that story?
Oh yeah, Tony's told me that story.
Yeah, and it's true. Ed used to tell us. We used to laugh because I'm like, what kind of pictures did you paint to get in their houses? But they'd hear a house is haunted, and he'd paint it really quick, sketching on whatever. He still has some of those paintings actually. And he'd have Lorraine go up to the house and say, "Oh, my husband painted this picture of your house." And they'd be, "Oh, it's beautiful." And she's like, "Could we come in?" "Oh, yeah, come in." And they'd bring up the ghost. And
Mhm.
odds are they would be so flattered by the painting, they would let them investigate the house. And it was, a funny story. It's actually amazing. Yeah. It's Lorraine Warren. Lorraine told me a story one time. I don't know if you guys know this or not. And she was young and she thought everybody can see auras. And she thought it was a normal thing. And she was in Catholic school. And her teacher was a nun. And she loved her. And she brought in the new principal, who was also a nun, and introduced her to Lorraine, into the class. Lorraine was probably, I'm guessing, 8 years old. And she's like, raises her hand and she goes, "Can I ask a question?" Because why isn't sister, the principal, so and so's lights as beautiful as yours? Her lights aren't even that bright. And she's thinking everyone can see these. She got in so much trouble because she said that, first of all, that she was afraid for years to say she can see these lights because she realized not everybody could see these. And of course, the Catholic school said that's the work of the devil. You
Right.
shouldn't do that. And I also question, why wasn't the principal's lights as bright as as the teachers? But on that hand, that's why Lorraine always kept quiet and to herself. She didn't even tell Ed right away that she can do this.
Mhm.
And it eventually came out after, I think, after they were married, I believe, that she mentioned that somebody was lying and she could tell by the aura. And she was right. So that's amazing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's a cool
Yeah,
story. Yeah.
that's like people don't realize Ed's a veteran. Why would you wanna disrespect someone that
I don't get it.
you
It's again, keyboard muscles. That's all I can say. It's fun to say, that I don't know, you have a face in the back of your head, that we can't
right.
see. It's there. I saw it. So it has to be there. Again, it's fun to say it, it's fun to believe it, but it's hurtful. Yeah, it really is. But again, you read it, it has to be true. It's on the internet. Okay. Yeah. I'm honored to know them. I really am. I can't even tell you. To be taught by them, to be part of their family,
Yep.
and to be part of Judy and Tony's family. I mean, it's such an honor as a person. But you know, it wasn't a status symbol when I was younger. It was, again, it was embarrassing. I was embarrassed for investigating these houses. My friends would find out, but I never, even when they became, well, Ed was pastor, and when The Conjuring came out, never saw Lorraine as this, like, superstar. It was Lorraine. You know,
Mm.
it's mind boggling sometimes. I think they made movies about them. You know, it's just mind boggling. And I just am glad the actors took such care into portraying them correctly,
Yep.
as best they could, you know, as best they could. But yeah, but it's fun, you know, the whole thing, fun, intriguing, the whole bit. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you're part of their family. You're part of mine too.
Yeah, it is. It's an extended family, right? It
Yep.
really is. It really is. And, you know, you know, Judy has two children who are grown and they're wonderful people, and especially her daughter, who I love actually.
Never talked to the daughter, but I've talked to.
Heather, oh my God, Heather's an incredible person. She is a beautiful person. She really is. I love her. Yeah.
I've talked to Chris.
Chris, yeah, just Chris. I mean, he moved away a while ago. He went did a lot of traveling overseas and stuff. I envy that because you know he what I call grabbed the vine and he
Mhm.
went for it, which is awesome. But they're both you know extended family. It's great. Yeah, they're good
Chris,
people.
Chris was actually my very first guest on my podcast.
Really.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a kind soul. You know, that's how I can describe Chris is just a kind soul. Yeah. But it's
Yeah, I talk to him whenever I get a chance to when he's not so
yeah.
busy.
He's a busy guy, right? For I'll be honest with you, man.
He is.
He's a busy guy. Yeah, it's the connections I made through here, and you know, I hate saying connections, but the friends I've made through networking with the Warrens, and it's amazing some of these people that you know that I've met, and it's right there, right to you also, right back at you actually, because one day I think I forgot why you contacted me, and you're like, "Hey, I'm related to Lorraine and or the Warrens," and I'm like, "Really?" And yes,
Well,
and we
I
okay,
saw your I saw Tony's comment to you about you should do a podcast.
yeah, okay, yeah, and it just was so funny how that worked. Yeah,
Yep. That's why I reached out to you.
yeah, which I'm glad you did because I love meeting people. It's fantastic. Yeah, people are great.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's my dad's side of the family is how we're related to the Warrens.
Now, how did you find out? I mean, I know you told me it was years later. When
Yeah,
you
when I
found out.
started doing genealogy and I found Dawn that was on here in Florida, and we started working together on a genealogy, and she says, "Did you know you're related to Ed and Lorraine Warren?" I was like, "I am?"
That's so funny
She's
though.
like, "Yeah, you are." I said, "Well, that's a coincidence now because I'm into the paranormal and I do it,
Right?
and now I'm finding out I'm related to the pioneers and
Right.
even the godfather of the paranormal."
He was. I mean, when I say this man was used not just paranormal, but also like demonic cases and
Yep.
the occult. He's been used by state police in Connecticut, which I know for a fact on that, but other states too of murders that have occurred with the occult and or when I'll never forget one. They found a building years ago, abandoned, and when the police brought him in, they found several sacrificed animals in there. But there was so much pigeon crap in this building that they actually carved in pentagrams, gigantic pentagrams in there, robes, full robes and everything were in there
Oh,
in
wow.
this place. And I think he believed the next step was human sacrifice, and the police found it just in time. And they used him for that case, which I thought was fascinating. You know, scary but fascinating. Yeah,
I got to meet John in person. This was, I think 2022. He was out here in Missouri at Metacon with Andrea Perrin.
yeah,
I actually brought him a haunted mask for his museum.
nice,
I took out of a location and
nice. That's kind of cool. I think.
yeah,
I think I'm not too sure. You know, it's funny because Jimmy would collect things. Jimmy Penn, yeah, Mr. Haunted, and we did a case which was so haunted. It was just one of the most. incredible cases I've ever worked with the Warrens. But there were a long story, but I just want to say something funny. There was a pair of shoes. Remember those shoes that when little boys would walk and they'd light up?
Yep.
There was an incident in this house at one point. These shoes were sitting there alone and they just started flashing, sitting there all alone, right and beat, right. And Jimmy ended up taking these shoes, and I forgot why, but he took them. And he had them in a case. And recently, we did a talk at a really old restaurant in Connecticut, and the lady said, she's told me several times before Jimmy got there, the place is haunted. There's a ghost. She's a friendly ghost. She's lovely, but she judges people like crazy. So Jimmy gets there and he brings up all this stuff in boxes, and you couldn't see what was in the boxes. The woman, the owner, comes up to me and she goes, the owner, Elsa, I think her name is Elsa. She's having a fit. She says, get that box that he put on the table out of here. She does not like what's in that box. And she's like, what's in there? That she's so upset. The sneakers are in that box.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, the sneakers. Yeah. The sneakers were not good. It was not a good thing, those things. Yeah, and she knew there was something in that box that ghost wanted you can't call her a ghost, first of all. I remember her telling me this. The spirit in that place did not like what was in that box. And so it's kind of crazy, right? That
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Taking things and giving them away as presents. Got to be careful.
Right.
Nice to meet you. Here's a haunted mask.
Oh, I told John I was bringing it.
I know. I'm just teasing you because it's pretty
Right.
funny. Would you really think about it? That could be a movie.
Right?
Yeah.
And believe it or not, it was found by an owner of a movie theater in Vermont.
Really?
Yep.
See, that's intriguing. Wild twist.
Yeah, this movie theater was actually on an episode of Dead Files
Really?
in 2012.
So how do you find a mask in his theater?
She actually found it in her house or between the wall and her
Oh,
chair.
okay. Oh, all
And
right.
she
That's
had
even
some stuff
creepier.
going on in her house as well. And the one night they called the cops and the fire department to her house because they seen this gray cloud coming out of the roof. They thought her house was on fire. Cops show up, fire department show up, there's no fire.
Well, what did she experience anything while that was happening, or she
Uh,
just?
no, the
Ah,
next day she did, she laid down for
yeah.
a nap, put her grandchild down for a nap. She woke up to something hovering over the top of her trying to get into her mouth.
Wow, that's not good.
And then
That's not-
the grandchild seen somebody that looked like grandma going out the front door, and
yeah,
grandma was still laying in bed.
that's insane. Doppelganger shit. That's crazy stuff, and that starts happening.
And
Yeah,
she owns that haunted movie theater
yeah.
that was on Dead File
Wow, wow.
that is
Yikes.
extremely haunted.
That's scary, dude. Something going in your mouth. That the sneaker case where Jimmy got the sneakers. One of the things I'm not going to get into it. It's such a long story, but the lady, they left everything behind, and they were not wealthy people. Unfortunately, they had to leave everything. But the breaking point, she constantly felt something breathing on her back, and she turned, nothing was there. And her breaking point, which was the worst scenario, I guess, at the time, she was taking a shower and she felt that on her back, and she turned around and there was a man this close to her face looking at her, gray, just totally gray, which we seen later in that house. And she ran from that house half naked, never went back in again, left every single thing behind.
Oh, wow.
Didn't want money for it, again, no book, no, I want to be on the news, just
Right.
I we to get her back in that house. Jimmy will tell you, to talk her back into that house took. I do it a lot. I had to do a lot of coaching to get her back in that house, just to show us around. Terrified, terrified.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah, we run into quite a bit of that too and
uh,
on our
spooky, right?
Yep.
To a house and everything is there, and they just don't want it. I don't want anything in there, and it's creepy. It's a creepy experience to walk into a house like that, where they just left everything and there's no desire to take a thing from that house.
Yep.
Sad. but creepy. Yeah.
Yeah, we got called for a case here in Missouri, something like that. The grandparents actually just moved out of the house one day, left all their belongings, didn't say nothing to nobody. They just up and left.
Wow.
And come to find out, the grandchild stayed there a couple times and experienced a lady in white in that house.
And that would be enough for me. I'm out. Have you ever heard of Dudley Town?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've investigated that quite a bit, Jimmy and I, and the Warrens and stuff like that. And you just remind me that the Lady in White is a famous ghost in Connecticut Union
Mhm.
Cemetery.
Yep.
And but Dudley Town, what happens up there, and that was a town that was founded in the late 1800s, and it was cursed. Long story, but pretty much everyone died in that town within a couple of years. And it's in the middle of nowhere. Appalachian Trails up in Connecticut because it runs through Connecticut, and the middle of the woods. You found the foundations and everything's overgrown. But we've been up there. You don't hear crickets, and it is true. You hear nothing up there, and we've investigated so much. But we started finding was like tree stumps that were cut down with pentagrams carved into them, bloody, all dry blood with feathers or animal fur and stuff. So obviously what happens up there is a lot of devil worshippers are attracted to that area, and they go up there and make it worse by performing their rituals and things like that. And I think Dudleytown that's more of its curse now than a haunting of 100 years ago. It's
Right.
what's created now. And when you said the Lady in White, it just reminded me of the connection between Union Cemetery and Dudleytown, and with the Warrens. But yeah, so you can make it worse.
Yep. We did I did see the lady in white. We went up there, that farmhouse is falling down, so you can't get in there, so we set up cameras on the outside of it overlooking the house, and we set, like, recorders in the windowsills, and got done setting up, and I was looking in the upstairs window, and the owner comes over, he's related to us. He goes, "You see something up there?" I said, "Yeah, there's a woman dressed in white staring at us. She's just looking out the window, just looking at us like, 'What are we doing?'"
Yeah,
I said, "Take a picture with your phone." He snaps a picture up there. He captured her.
that's insane, right? Yeah, do you know who she is, or
Now we don't know, but
I never find out?
that
Yeah,
place has a bad history. It's
all
got
right,
the Battle of Crooked River happened there, which was the Mormon massacre.
right.
It's had confirmed slaves, Native Americans.
Yeah, you may never find out, which is kind of almost sad.
Yep,
You can't. And hopefully, they're put to rest. And maybe go. I'll say into the light. That's the thing to say, but it's sad to me. That's kind of sad.
it's
That
got
maybe is going to
it's
help.
also got history of the outlaw Jesse James
Really, really
right out there. Yep.
kind of cool. That's kind of cool. We don't have a Jesse James around here, but we do have a Lady in White. And, it's funny. I've been to that cemetery a million times, and it's actually in a very wealthy small town in Connecticut. And the police do not like people going there.
Oh, I can imagine.
But there's a lot of people that go there. But Jimmy and I, when we first started helping the Warrens, would go there because they showed us the cemetery. So we were intrigued. Of course, the first thing we do is make friends with the police, and that worked for us.
Mhm.
I never saw the Lady in White, but what Jimmy would do is we put a tape recorder in the middle of the cemetery on a stone, and we'd sit in our car, Jimmy and I, for hours every night till we knew the tapes were run out. Then we'd sit and listen in his car to the tapes till like 4 in the morning. And one night he got the most incredible recording, and it was just a name. And I don't remember the name, I'll be honest with you. I'll say John Smith, but you can hear it trying to find energy. And it was like a John Smith, like that. And it was insane. It was insane.
Oh, wow.
That little 5 second piece on a hours of recording was insane to me. That's when I started thinking that was the beginning of the investigations. Maybe there's something going on here. Yeah.
We got called to one cemetery to debunk some claims that were going on. They were hearing screams in the cemetery. You would see a blue light, your car wouldn't start. So law enforcement called us out there to check it out because they got tired of the kids going up there trying to see and scare each other.
Right.
So we went up there, broad daylight. We're in the back of the cemetery. We had a recorder sitting on one of the stones in front part of the cemetery. Now this is a small cemetery where the recorder was. I could throw a rock and hit it. And when we reviewed the recorder, you could hear footsteps coming through the grass right up to the recorder and shut it right off.
That's amazing. That's pretty amazing.
And if
Yeah.
anybody would have done it, we would have seen them.
But and if anyone see how my mind works, and I could be wrong, but if I was just say a prankster and I was going to do that, I wouldn't shut it off. I'd say boo into your thing and run. I wouldn't shut it off. What's the fun of that? You know? And so that's why, that's validated to me in a way that,
Yeah, and
yeah,
you can hear them footsteps walking through the
right,
grass clear as day coming right up to it.
right. And people don't realize that, yeah, you're a ghost. And people are like, you said before about the light sensor going on.
Mhm.
People don't realize they can manifest and become as solid as we are.
Yep.
And they have the energy to make a footprint or to walk up and you would hear it walking up and things like that. So it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
I was like my dad in the movie theater when we were checking out the projection booth. He's seeing a full solid man come run past him and push him to the floor.
And
Go past.
why did he do it? I mean, and that it was the haunted movie theater that
Yep.
the lady owned.
And the one that did it's not very friendly. He was shot.
No.
He was shot and killed there. He wasn't friendly when he was alive.
It sounds like an asshole.
He was he was fooling around with the manager's wife,
Okay.
and the manager didn't like it. Told him, "Hey, if you're gonna mess with my wife, you take her and marry her then." And he says, "No, you got a family with her. I'll leave her alone." Well, they were at a get together across the street. He went to the restroom. They both had been drinking. He comes out and hears this guy messing with his wife again. They got in a heated argument. The manager says, "Look, keep messing with my wife and family, I'm gonna kill you." And
Oh,
they argued a little bit more. The guy went to leave. Well, the manager followed him. They got across the street right in front of the theater, pulled out a 38, shot him right
oh
through the chest.
boy. Wow. Wow. So the guy shot the man who pushed your father, or was the
The man
murderer?
that was shot the man that was shot was the one that pushed my father.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Damn. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That place is I got
Yeah.
a video of I don't I show it at lectures to show what spirits can do to a person, and
Right.
I'll show you it after the show here, I'll show you that video
Yeah. That's insane. I
of
mean,
her face actually morphs, and she's sitting there digging her own face open.
that's insane.
You don't even know she's doing it.
Right. I mean, it's incredible what they can do if they want to do it. And again, that goes back to what Ed said about if it's demonic, you'd know it because
Yep,
they won't just, push you around a little bit. They'll put you through a wall.
yep.
They will torture your mind, your brain. They know how to get you. But that is just a violent ghost, dude.
Oh, yeah,
That guy is just not sound like a nice guy.
they've got ones in there that mock voices. I've
That's
got on my recorder, we were doing an EVP session. One of my team members' voices got mocked on the recorder, saying
yeah,
hello, and they were up in Cinema 2 on the other side of the building investigating.
right. I've gotten called before by people, my name, and I'll be alone. And it's crazy. I worked, at Yale, but it's a hospital end of it because I work in a pathology lab. But I was with an older secretary when we were walking down where they kept a lot of supplies. And there was an old wheelchair, but she stopped and she looked stunned for a minute because it was down a hallway.
Mhm.
And she looked back. I'm like, what? And she goes, oh my God. She goes, I just saw this wheelchair. There was an old man sitting in it 2 seconds ago. And I'm like, you're crazy. She goes, I am dead serious. There was an old man sitting in this wheelchair. And it just dawned on me. Odds are there probably was at one point an old man sitting in that wheelchair because It was an old wheelchair, first of all, and you know, it could have died in that chair.
Yeah.
And she was dead, and she was not a I see a ghost every corner, that type. She was a very serious person, but it scared the hell out of her.
Right.
Yeah, it scared the hell out of her. Yeah.
Yeah, I applied for a job doing maintenance at a nursing home, and I ended up going to work at the school instead because I knew with all of that, and I can feel that emotion, that was gonna be a rough place for me to work.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Yeah, that's definitely a breeding ground. I mean, for sorrow and confusion, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, a lot of people investigate old mental institutions. I hate calling them that, but you know what I mean. But back then they tortured you, and you weren't always mentally ill, or if you were, you just were tortured. That was it. And there was a lot of sorrow and tragedy happened, and that's why these places, these abandoned, haunted asylum, I should say, is that's why they're so active,
Yep.
because they are so confused as it is, and then they're killed and tortured in these places, and they were brutal back 100 years ago, 50 years ago.
Mhm.
And that's why a lot of hot spots in these old, and a lot of them are abandoned now because they realized at one point, oh my god, this is like a torture chamber, it's all this is. But unfortunately it stayed behind is the spirits. Yeah, so guys out there, if you ever investigate in one of those asylums, put down what you experience, because that kind of stuff is interesting too.
Oh,
Um,
I've got some stories for you from Waverly Hills.
and that is where,
The Waverly Hills Sanatorium in,
New York,
Louisville, Kentucky.
Kentucky. Okay, all right. I just know this name for a reason, for some reason.
One of the most haunted places in America.
Maybe that's why I know it. I mean, yeah, because I know
Uh,
that name. Yeah,
I've investigated there. I got pinned to a surgery table
really.
in
That's
there.
not, as long as there's no saws coming at you or syringes.
Yeah, we decided to do a little role play because our tour guide told us he laid on that table and he got his leg lifted up. So we tried to see if we could debunk that, recreate it. So I laid on the table and I had one of my members wheel me under the light, and we were playing like I was sick. I was acting like I was coughing, and
Yeah.
we had a motion light sitting in the doorway that kicked on, and we were yelling for a doctor.
So you're pushing it.
And
That's pushing it there. It really is.
and
I
so
don't know if that's a good idea or not.
we heard a noise, and I went to sit up, and I
Yeah.
could not move. It was like I was being restrained
Yeah.
to the
You
table,
you're egging it on, Tal.
and
Yeah.
I was like, said to my member, "I can't move. I can't
Mhm.
move my legs. I can't
Yeah.
move my arms."
It was on you, dude. Gotcha. Yeah.
And then shortly after that, we heard 2 loud female screams right outside the door in the hallway.
You riled it up, and it's. I was in houses where Ed and Lorraine would rile it up for evidence for the Catholic Church, because that was their main source, was the Catholic Church. And Ed would pray, challenge it, and things like. But he knew what he was doing.
Mhm.
And again, the white light thing I mentioned before in the whole bit. But there were times we were in a house, and that house would go crazy, crazy when he would mock this thing, and that's why you're in there mocking it, you're challenging it, and it's like, okay, you want to fuck around? Let's fuck around, and it got you.
Yeah,
It
it
got you.
it did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we always had backup plans. That's another thing you guys have to do, is have a backup plan. Have somebody with the holy water and the cross with you.
Oh, yeah,
Because when
we had
shit
protection.
goes south, you want to friggin' get out of there, but safely. Yeah,
I had my, Saint Benedict medal on that night when I was there too.
yeah. But you know what? That's just a medal. Don't mean crap.
Oh,
If you're mocking it, it's going to be pissed at you. It's not going to say,
yeah.
you have to say, yeah, it's going to get you. Yeah, always have an escape plan. That's always a good thing. And I think we've always had escape plans.
Oh,
No,
yeah, we have a kit with us that we bring with us for that type of
yeah,
reason.
yeah. And people might even say a lot of times we were being over safe, or like, I almost said a swear word, but like wimps. And no, we weren't. Because if we got hurt, it makes the situation worse. We're there to help,
Exactly.
and we don't want to get hurt. And a lot of times it targets us or your investigator, because if it is, we'll say it is demonic case, it wants to eliminate you because you're the threat.
Yep.
And that's happened to Ed and Lorraine before in the past, where it tried to eliminate them because they were the threat, so they can continue. It can continue torturing a family, and so you got to watch out for that stuff too.
Yep.
Hey, doctor, come get me. My appendix hurt. Rip.
Right. And then
Yeah,
eventually it just let up. It just let me go.
yeah. It did its job. It scared the hell out of you. Probably fed off of it a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't get scared. I was just like shocked, like, hey, I can't move.
You're pinned to a table and you weren't afraid. Come
I
on.
I wasn't scared.
This is not
Yeah,
normal.
I was just like I was just like, what is going on? It was more like a shocking thing, like,
Yeah.
what is going on?
Or it just would let you know, hey, you know who's in control here? The doctor. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah. He's in
doctor and
control.
his nurses, because
Yeah.
many of them died there because they couldn't leave because of tuberculosis.
Yeah. And that killed a lot of people. A
So
lot of people.
they
Very
were trapped
quickly.
there. I mean, they had a nurse actually hang
Yeah.
herself
Yeah.
there, and another one dove off the side of the building.
I can't imagine, first of all, even if it wasn't haunted, working in an asylum back, 70, 80 years ago and watching these torturing attack going on, and you are a part of it, but you don't want to be. I mean, I would jump out of a window, maybe, if that was the case. I can understand somebody doing something like that.
Well, this nurse, she had a husband and a son, and the only way she could see him, she had to go out on the catwalk, and he would come to the parking lot, get out of the car, and hold the kid up. So,
It's heartbreaking.
him.
Wow. Wow. That's not good. That's sad. That's
And
sad.
then they also did at Waverly Hills, they did the electroshock treatments, figuring that was a cure for tuberculosis, and
Yeah. There was a cure for everything back then. Yeah, my
so
tongue hurts. All right, hook up the electrodes. Yeah,
they were ripping people's rib cages out to see if their lungs would expand. They would put balloons in their
yeah,
chest.
that shit didn't work either. All it did was torture the person until they
Yep,
died.
yep.
Then they wonder why there's so much haunting going on or paranormal activity in these asylums, because that's just insane. That's like Nazi shit almost.
Oh, yeah, it
Yeah.
it's a pretty bad place. The team we went with, they went the first night, and they didn't catch nothing. They had it rented for 2 nights. We came their second night because we could only do it once, and it was like everything opened up for us, was like, "Hey, we got some new players here,"
Could be thinking it. Yeah, yeah.
and it just started getting real active, and we ended up getting a thunderstorm that came through
A
just
lot
as
of
it
energy in
started,
the yeah. It's a lot of
and
energy, dude. Wow.
seeing the creeper of Waverly Hills, which is this black entity that crawls across the floor, the ceiling, the
That
wall.
just does not sound good, dude. The creeper. That just sounds
That's what they call
screwed up.
it, and
Creeper.
many believe, like me, I could see the theory on it. There was a guy that was in a wheelchair, and he would go down to maintenance to get his wheelchair oiled every week. Well, he went down there and nobody was there, and he was wheeling around looking for people, and he went off the loading dock
Oh, no way.
outside onto the pavement face first, and it killed him.
Yeah.
So they believe he may be the creeper because he was paralyzed, so that's all he could do was crawl.
Wow. No, that's actually sad. Oh my God. Dude, that's just like poor guy.
And then there was one guy, a homeless guy, that died in the elevator
Really.
there at Waverly. He was living in the building when it sat abandoned. He
Wow.
died there. There's a little boy that is supposed to be in there that rolls a ball up and down the hallway into one of the rooms.
Wow. Yeah, that again, especially when it's children, that gets to me. That just does. It's just a whole different area for me.
And we were walking back on the 4th floor, and because you can only investigate till 4 AM, and we're walking, this figure, pure white, just comes running directly at us down the hallway,
Really.
blows in between 2 of us, and then just disappears. And it was only about maybe I want to say 5 foot tall.
Right. So it could be a child or a small lady or a small guy. Yeah.
Out the same area where they say they see the child that rolls the
Yeah.
ball,
Uh,
and the
did you
other
feel
team,
it or did you just see it? Did you feel any?
we saw it and felt it.
You felt it. Okay. No, just curious.
You
Yeah.
could feel that cold breeze, that wind as it blew
Sometimes
up.
it's tingly. It's like electric, almost like
Yep,
electric. Almost.
yep.
I've seen seen it, felt before, and
Both our
it's
arms, when it come through us, we were in t-shirts, and
yeah,
the hair was standing up to the.
yeah. That's a pringly feeling. A little tickle feeling, kind of.
And that other team
Yeah,
come in behind us. I said, "Did you see something come running down that hallway?" They never saw it. It
yeah.
disappeared before it even got to them.
Wow, wow, wow. It's we were in a house where the woman started screaming, and it's the same house. Going back to the sneakers, when I was interviewing her at the table, and she was terrified, and I was interviewing her before Ed and Lorraine got there. And she looked over my shoulder, and there was a door behind me with the hallway. And Jimmy was with me, and a couple other investigators. I think Johnny Zappis was there. It's going back years ago. But she started screaming, "Oh my God, it's behind you. It's in the hallway." And I look back and I'm thinking, this woman's crazy. I'm sorry. That was what I was thinking on the inside, but I was listening to her, but I just started
Right.
thinking, woman's crazy. But she was adamant this thing was in the hallway and tears in her eyes. So I'm like, all right. So I get out of the seat, walk in the hallway, and with Jimmy and a few other investigators. And in the room in the corner was that gray thing she saw in the shower, but was
Mhm.
standing in the corner. And I think it was from the knees down. There was nothing. But the more it came up from the knees, the solider it got. But you could see it took a step towards us and just went right through the wall. It disappeared. Probably the most amazing thing I ever saw in my life, actually. Which, again, made me question everything I thought I knew about existence.
Right.
Typically, yeah, yeah, and it was amazing. So I get the whole feeling of the little tingly and the cold and the whole bit because we experienced it, but kind of scary.
Oh yeah. Oh, before I forget, my dad wanted me to tell you hello. He's watching tonight.
Hey, Dad, how's it going? Where is he? What's his name?
Russell, his same.
Russell. Russell Senior. Hey, what's up? Yeah, we were in a strange field, right? You didn't
Oh,
raise your kid correctly. You have him investigating hauntings and chasing ghosts.
he goes with me.
Hey, there you go.
Yep, he does it with me.
That's even better. That's actually fantastic.
Yep, he goes with me on them all.
Oh, that's right. You did say, the movie theater and things like that.
Yep.
But yeah, that's
He,
actually
he even got grabbed in the prison museum here in Missouri State. He was went up to the mannequin guard that they got. He shook hands with the mannequin, and something had he had fingerprint mark bruises on his arm where something had grabbed him by the arm.
why do you think? Because he's
I
mocking
think
it, maybe?
that and
Mocking is not good. I'm telling you, that's the most, if you want activity to be on you, mock it. That's all you got to do. And
yep,
that's mocking, and it's like, oh, yeah, you want to fuck around? And just a grab or a pin to the table. It's all it takes. Yeah. I've been
it,
pushed. I
he
mock.
he did that, and he got grabbed by the arm there, and he had all them bruise marks. And shortly after that, we captured a picture. Trying to see if I can find it. I'll pull it up for you.
And this was in the prison.
Yep, the prison museum. And this guy was an inmate, which I'll show you. This is the inmate that was there.
Wow. What
He
year
was
is that?
that was
Serial killer. Wow. Okay.
yep.
Wow, he sounds like a dick. Oh my God, dude.
He was the known as the Kansas City Butcher.
Wow. Wow. Just the name of just the title itself is terrifying.
And the tour guide of the prison actually confirmed it.
Yeah.
And this was the picture we captured. He's on the
Wow.
right inside.
Yeah. Now where was this picture taken? Like in a cell or
No,
hallway.
this was in a basement of the old warden's house where they have all the prison
Look at
artifacts.
that. You can't see my hand. It couldn't, can you? I mean, in the right hand side, it's like looking down kind of at an angle.
Yeah. Yep.
And, it's kind of hideous, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not definitely not a strong-minded, well person.
No, he ended up dying there of heart failure because he swore the guards weren't giving him enough of his heart medicine.
Oh, too bad for him, right? Yeah, he's a serial killer, but yeah, I'm not getting my heart medicine. Do you have one of those? I mean, yeah, right,
Well, that place is the bloodiest 47 acres of Missouri.
right there, that prison,
Yep.
and that's because of the prison, or
Yeah, there was a lot of violence in that
all
prison
right,
between inmates getting killed, guards getting killed. The guards were only armed with a billy club and a whistle.
really? Okay, that sucks.
That was it.
I mean, come on, you're in a freaking deadly prison, and you have
Only
a
only
whistle.
the tower guards had guns, and that was it.
Yeah, you have a freaking whistle. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah,
Yeah, that place is it's highly active, and it's never the same thing when you go. Every time you go, it's always something different.
because how many people were there that died there? So they're all
There
gonna be different.
Yeah,
They're
there
all
was a lot.
different. Yeah, you're gonna find every personality, I think, probably in that place because you had every personality probably in
Yep.
that place. Yeah,
And Cell House 4 is one of the oldest cell houses in that prison.
really.
They've got them separated in buildings, and that one housed, they have the dungeon cells down below, and that
Nice.
housed, JB the Firebug. He was housed in there for 18 years in pitch dark.
The firebug was in pitch dark. Huh.
Yep,
Kind of ironic, right?
yep. He got put in there because he was an arsonist, and he set the prison on fire, killing several inmates and guards.
Oh, Jesus,
So,
Jesus,
he ended up getting out, and somebody wrote a book for him when he got
really,
out on parole, and he haunts the prison. He haunts down in the dungeon.
really. The Yeah, it's kind of funny, and I think I've talked about asylums and prisons and the hauntings in prisons. And it's when you really, I overthink everything. I'm a thinker, but you get serial killers, you get murderers, and they die in those places, and they're angry. But I always wondered also, what about the innocent people that die in there?
Yep,
They're convicted, but they're innocent,
yep,
and they die. Are they angry or are they happy? They're free, and I always wondered that about these kind of hauntings, like because it's like I said, it's more than one dimension. It's so many stories, and so it's so deep. Even human beings are deep. I can't imagine a spirit that's been wrongly convicted, ends up their life in prison, they die there. Would you be angry or would you be happy you're free?
right.
It makes those things I wonder about. and
I
and
know
just
there's another man there because Wade confirmed it when Nesper had the object there.
yeah.
They were storing their cell stuff in cell 20.
Oh, I know this because Wade actually told me about this. Wait, did somebody call somebody or something like that?
Yeah,
Wait, yes. All right. Yeah.
and we were doing an Estes down in the dungeon,
Ah, you were there then. I know this story. I do know this story. It's pretty
and
cool.
I
Yeah.
picked up on cell 20. We didn't use the spirit box. I put the noise canceling headphones on,
Yeah.
have nothing in a blindfold. I was just using my senses, and I was getting they were asking questions, and anytime if I heard them, I wouldn't answer.
Right.
And then I was getting cell number 20, so I was asked Wade about it because we kept seeing a man up there every time Wade was talking
I
about the objects.
Yeah. You
Wade
told
said,
me.
"Yeah, there was a man housed in cell 20, and he was not happy that we were there putting stuff in his cell, so he went down to the dungeon where it was quiet."
You know about Wade, right? Like, he is pretty talented.
Oh, yeah,
He's first of all, he's an incredible chef. I'm going to put that out there. He's probably one of the best. He's a chef, and he's an actual chef. But man, he's psychically talented. Like,
oh,
and
yeah, he
he's one
is.
of those people who won't say, "Hey, I'm a psychic." Slowly he starts saying things. You're like, wow, that guy's incredible. That guy's incredible. And he's again an incredible person, which I love about him.
Oh, yeah. We love Wade, and
Yeah,
I talk to Wade all the time. If I
yeah.
got any questions, I holler at Wade or
He's an artist too.
yep, he
Incredible artist.
he had some of
Yeah.
his paintings at, the Warrens' Paracon in the
Yes.
museum.
Yeah. He painted. I think the last Paracon he painted the gazebo, which was featured in the third Conjuring movie, which is that the third Conjuring movie was very loosely based on the actual story. I would say 5%. But one of the things that were actually very accurate was the gazebo, where Ed and Lorraine's first date, and he had it rebuilt for their 50th anniversary. And I have pictures actually online of that actual gazebo. It's in their backyard still. And we painted that, and it's one of the most beautiful pictures. I think it's breathtaking of that. And my dog passed away last year, and it really broke my heart. And he surprised me, and he sent me in the mail this beautiful painting of my dog, which is
Oh,
hanging
wow.
up. I cherish this thing, and it's a gorgeous, gorgeous gift. And he's a wonderful person.
Oh, yeah,
That's
it
a
is.
neat. With that gift, a lot of times with that gift, you're a wonderful person. Also, your soul is just so pure, and that's a sign of a true psychic. Also, is a pure spirit. Yeah, and he's
I
one of
was
them. Yeah,
I was just talking to him this morning, and, he says, "Your energy feels a lot better than it did the past couple days."
that's great. And he will feel it. Yeah, he's a good
Yeah,
guy. I'm telling you, he will make your energy go up. He will just make you feel good. You can be crying and he'll make you feel good. So I mean, he's a great human being. Yeah,
I know
yeah.
Dan and Chris, they heckle him quite a bit.
Chris cracks me up. I mean,
Oh,
Dan
yeah,
has incredible family. I mean, they all have, and so is Chris. Chris' family is insane also. But these are real, again, real people. These are not cardboard figures that people want to mock and make fun of online. These are real human beings with
yep,
souls and hearts. And that's why it breaks your heart when you do read, like we said before, or hear these stories about them that are so untrue. And when you get to know them, you're like, this could be my brother. I mean, this is this person's incredible, and it's not this nightmare they make out online about these people. And again, it's tragic in a way
yep,
because Chris, Dan, Wade. I've never heard anyone say anything bad about Wade ever. I think I'd hunt them down if I heard bad about Wade. Don't go
right?
harassing Wade. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, we got a joke going. I got Chris and Dan going on it. I said, "We're coming out to Gettysburg. Wade's buying us all dinner."
Wade will make you dinner. And you can go over to, he stays at the Warren house a lot. And you can just go there and say, oh, I forgot my screwdriver there. You'll go there and he will have dinner waiting for you, homemade, everything. It's Thanksgiving. We do Thanksgivings there and holidays there. And between, I think, Tony, Dan, and Wade's cooking, it's insane. We still celebrate holidays there, like Ed and Lorraine are
Yeah, I've
there.
seen the pictures.
Yeah, yeah. I probably took all those pictures.
I've even seen the videos, and I've
Yeah,
commented on them. And
yeah. It's just a
we're
family.
we're gonna make a trip back to Connecticut because
Oh, definitely do. It'd be fantastic. It'd be an honor to meet you. Definitely.
my
Yeah,
dad and I are planning it because
yeah.
we haven't met Judy yet, so we're gonna go meet
You'll love
Judy.
her. She's a sweetheart. Just a sweetheart. That's the only way I could describe her. And I was sick, and my heart stopped again. Like I said, and I didn't know why it stopped, but I'm in the hospital and I'm on all like support machines with pump running my heart and everything. I look up and those two walk through the door. And instantly I saw Judy and my spirits just boom.
Yep.
Yeah, it just the minute I saw her, it's again, I always say I survived that whole thing because of those people. And they're, like I said, honored to know them, honored to be related to them, actually. Look at you.
Yep.
Who's better than you? But yeah. Listen, I'm gonna go. Um,
Yep.
because what time is it in Missouri? Is it like 10:30?
It's
What
quarter
about
after 10.
because it's 11, well, quarter after 11 here.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're an hour ahead, but I'm a baby. I go to bed. I'm not a late night guy. But
Alright,
anytime you want to do this again, or if you ever just
definitely.
contact me, come out, get your dad out here and see where your relatives lived and meet these people.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
that's what our plan is.
Yeah, it'd be
Kate
fun.
says, "Oh, we'll all get the family table and go out to dinner at that restaurant they always go out to."
Yeah, there's a few, but yeah, and also give you a personal tour of the museum, which we still bring people down there. We just can't have cars lined up in the street anymore.
Right.
But Tony is an incredible host.
But I told him, I said, "We can't forget Julie Zaffis."
Julie,
Yep,
what about Julie?
we can't forget her. She's got a
No, Julie's awesome. I got some video of Julie, which she would kill me if I ever posted with us drinking together.
I got to meet her for the first time at the Warren's Paracon.
Oh my god, dude. She is a trip, especially when we're both drinking. And oh, she is a trip. So I some video which I can hold over her head probably.
She was talking about going to that after hours party they were gonna do at after the first day of the Warren's
Yeah,
Paracon. She was like, "I don't know if I think I'm gonna go." They were all gonna drink, and then I don't think she went. I think she
Julie. Yeah, she probably play it smart, but I'm talking more of the parties at Lorraine's house. Even though they're gone, we still get together. And I think I have some funny videos.
I can imagine. Even out being drunk, she's hilarious.
I love her. The
Yeah.
minute she sees you, she's like, big hugs and the whole bit. And yeah, she's just,
I told Linda, I said, "You better bring her out to the Rock Island Paracon that we're all gonna be at."
now where's that at? Where Rock Island,
Rock
Paracon?
Island, Illinois.
Ah, okay. Like
Yeah,
near Chicago, or is it
it's gonna be a one-day Paracon.
about where's Rock Island at?
It's in
Chicago area or
Illinois, yeah, it's the Rock Island Roadhouse.
okay. I- Yeah, I'm fortunate because I have a pretty big job and it's getting away is tough. It's really hard actually. And again, I was sick for a while. I can start traveling again, which is great. But I want to start getting out more and you
Yeah,
know,
we're all gonna be there, the museum's gonna be there.
yeah. I mean, it's funny, even we talked before, being sick, I had to back away because I was weak. That's a
Yep.
kink. And they would jump on that. And but now I'm feeling good. I want to kick ass again and
Yeah,
get
me too,
exercise.
I'm back in full swing, and after
Yeah.
with all that drama that I had going on, I backed away for a little bit, so
Just don't let it affect you. Any drama. I think I told you this actually. We talked and cut it off. Just leave it
yep,
behind you. It's
that's
just,
what I did.
it's behind you. Yeah. You always move forward. I
Yeah,
always have a saying, you grab the vine. In other words, you swing from a vine, you can go back and forth and go nowhere, but there's another vine coming. You grab that new vine. You don't know where it's going to go, if it's going to break, where it's going to lead, but you
right.
grab the vine. And so you grab the vine and keep going.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's what we're doing. I use it as motivation.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Yeah. It's exciting, really exciting. But all right, buddy, I'm going to go.
Alright.
You have a fantastic
If
podcast.
people wanna get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you?
I will send you my number, but also through, Facebook Messenger, still, but I'll give you my phone number, also my text
Alright.
messaging and stuff like that. Because when you guys come out here, I got to meet you guys now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Ah, yeah. That's awesome.
'Cause we're gonna do Connecticut and Rhode Island because 'cause I'm also related to the Johnson brothers also.
Now, you know that Connecticut, Rhode Island is basically the same place. You know
Yeah,
that.
pretty
So
much,
small. It's the same place.
but, yeah, I'm gonna go see them as well.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. Come make a trip of it. Have fun. We'll all hook up, get some food, and
Yeah.
yeah, check out some ghost.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
how I roll.
definitely. I'll
That's
bring
how
the
I roll.
equipment with me.
Yeah, don't bring me no haunted mask, so I'm gonna pass on that,
No, oh,
but
I'm actually bringing some more haunted items that are going
legal name to Tony, I don't want him.
I already promised them to John.
Yeah, okay, whoever. Give them to whoever.
Because I'm gonna stop and see him too, because he's gonna let me see his museum as
Now,
well.
where's he live?
He's in Connecticut too.
Where? Don who? What's his last name? Do I know
John.
him?
John.
Oh, John. I thought you said Don. Oh, John Zappis. Oh my God. Yeah. Like I said, I have lunch. We go to the diner and stuff like that. And
I'm bringing him some more stuff for his museum.
yeah, he will have you laughing on the floor. He is so funny.
Oh, you'll have to scroll through on my YouTube. I've got him on my podcast. We did an over 2 hour show, him and I.
Yeah. He is so funny. And, you know, it's some of the things that come out of his mouth. I'm like, oh my God.
I
In a good way.
was there the night he told Andrea Perrin she went outside, put a cigarette in her mouth, and put her arms up and started singing Frank Sinatra My Way, and the sky lit up. And John goes to her, one of these days somebody's going to beam your ass up.
I could hear him saying that because he is funny. He is
But
so funny.
her agent, Greta, kept tormenting John.
Right.
Every time my dad and I walked by, she'd take a picture of us and send it to John. I think he had about 400 pictures of my dad and I on his phone.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. He's a good guy. He's an incredible person. They all are. Yeah. All right. But I'm going to go.
All right.
Thank you. It was an honor being on
Yeah.
the show. People investigate out there. Be careful. Seriously, though. Again, follow through. Don't leave people behind when you're investigating a house. That's my number one thing I want to get across. Follow the case through. Do not leave the people up and dry. It's the only thing that breaks my heart. But all right, keep investigating. I
Yep.
will follow you. And guys, good
All
night.
right.
Peace
Thank
out.
you, Rick.
Yeah, it was awesome. Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. Have a good night. We will see you next week. Actually, no, not see you next week. We've got a show again tomorrow night, back to back. We've got the Laverne and Shirley of the Paranormal coming on tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock p.m. We will be live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So join us again tomorrow night for another excellent show. And stay safe, stay humble out there. God bless. And remember, if you're feeling bullied in the paranormal field, reach out to us. We'll be more than willing to listen. So, everyone, have a good night, and we will see you again tomorrow night, same time, same channel. Have a good night,